Chapter 435. The fire spirit jumped up and grabbed at Wu Ketian. Feeling the sonic boom from the fire spirit's palm, Wu Ketian didn't dare to be careless. He quickly waved his palm and met it with lightning speed. Pa! Both of their palms collided with a crisp sound. At the same time, a strong surge of true qi was released from both of their palms, causing the air around them to vibrate. After the exchange, both of them took a step back at the same time. The fire spirit roared. Before he could stabilize himself, he stomped on the ground and shot towards Wu Ketian like lightning. Ha ha! Wu Ketian laughed and waved his dragon head walking stick in front of him. He easily blocked the fire spirit's palm attack. Facing Wu Ketian's dragon head walking stick, the fire spirit only frowned. He didn't retract his palms. Instead, he made a few hand gestures in the air and prepared to place them on the dragon head walking stick. Wu Ketian laughed coldly. He suddenly placed the dragon head walking stick flat and struck it towards the fire spirit. Hearing the sound of the dragon head walking stick breaking through the air, the fire spirit quickly dodged Wu Ketian's attack. While dodging, the fire spirit also kicked towards Wu Ketian from a diagonal angle. Wu Ketian laughed loudly, and the dragon head walking stick in his hand suddenly retracted. The tail of the dragon head walking stick went straight for Huiling's leg. Seeing this scene, the fire spirit was shocked. He quickly retracted his leg. Although he had successfully dodged Wu Ketian's dragon head crutch, all of his attacks had been neutralized by this attack. The fire spirit took 2 steps back and his face turned ugly. He stomped on the ground and roared. Both of his palms struck out at the same time. A surge of true qi shot out from both of his palms towards Wu Ketian. Seeing this, Wu Ketian didn't dare to be slow. He quickly took a deep breath and placed his dragon head walking stick flat. He pushed it horizontally and blocked the fire spirit's palms. Pa! The fire spirit's palms collided with Wu Ketian's dragon head cane, creating a muffled sound. After this sound, Wu Ketian had to take 2 steps back before stabilizing himself. Fire Spirit took 3 steps back before he roared and stabilized himself. And this time, Wu Ketian clearly had the upper hand in this attack. Seeing that he had taken an extra step back compared to Wu Ketian, the Fire Spirit felt embarrassed. He let out another roar and was about to charge forward again. Water Spirit saw that the situation wasn't good and quickly went up to stop Fire Spirit. She lowered her voice and said, "Don't be in such a hurry. Have you forgotten why we're here?" Hearing Water Spirit's words, Fire Spirit gritted his teeth and roared at Wu Ketian, "Old man Wu, I'll let you go today." Wu Ketian sneered, "Why did you let me go? Since you're not convinced, why didn't you continue fighting?" Seeing the Fire Spirit fly into a rage, Water Spirit quickly stepped forward and said loudly to Wu Ketian, "Wu Ketian, today we're dealing with our own matters. I hope you won't interfere with us." Hearing Water Spirit's words, Wu Ketian shook his head, "I'm not in the mood to care about your matters, but what you're saying isn't right. That's why I'm saying something fair." Water Spirit heard this and her face darkened. She said in a low voice, "This is between us Tiangongmen and Qiqiaomen. If you want to care about this, are you trying to declare war with the Tiangongmen?" After hearing Shui Ling's words, Wu Ketian immediately laughed out loud. Hasn't the competition between the Heavens Craftsman sect and 7 Possibilities sect already ended? Could it be that there's still a relationship between the two of you? Speaking up to here, Wu Ketian suddenly turned to Sun Qiao. Could it be that sect leader Sun still wants to fight with the Tiangongmen? Hearing this, Sun Qiao quickly said loudly, "The competition between Qiqiaomen and Tiangongmen is already over. There's no more competition." Hearing Sun Qiao's reply, Wu Ketian turned around and looked at Water Spirit with a smile. "Water Spirit, you heard it too. Sect leader Sun said that the competition between the Tiangongmen and Qiqiaomen is already over. There's no more competition. If you continue to insist, wouldn't that be too much?" Hearing Wu Ketian's words, Fire Spirit suddenly sneered, "Old man Wu, don't make it sound so nice. Do you think we don't know why you're here?" Speaking up to here, Fire Spirit's tone suddenly turned cold. "Old man Wu, I'm warning you. If you dare to meddle in our business again, don't blame us for not being polite." "Not polite, haha." Wu Ketian looked up to the sky and laughed. "Just with the two of you, you think you can be rude to us?" Hearing Wu Ketien's laughter, Water Spirit couldn't help but frown and say in a low voice, "Wu Ketien, do you really want to be enemies with us Tiangong men?" Hearing Water Spirit's words, Wu Ketien suddenly stopped laughing and said coldly, "Yes, I want to be enemies with you. What do you want?" Fire Spirit sneered, "Wu Ketien, do you think you're a match for the two of us?" Hearing this, Wu Ketien sneered, "Do you want to win with numbers?" Water Spirit snorted, "Us brothers don't want to do this kind of thing." Speaking up to here, Water Spirit paused for a moment before continuing, "But to deal with a meddler like you, we can only do this." "Ha ha," Wu Ketien looked up to the sky and laughed, "You want to win with numbers?" "Ha ha." After laughing, Wu Ketien stared at Water Spirit and said word by word, "Water Spirit, do you think I'm afraid?" Water Spirit sneered, "Since you're not afraid, then why don't we try?" As soon as Water Spirit's words fell, a cold voice came from the darkness. Who would have thought that the two great guardians of the Tiangong men would want to bully someone with numbers? What an eye-opener. Following this cold voice, two figures slowly walked out from the darkness. Seeing these two people silently walk out from the darkness, Water Spirit was so shocked that she broke out in cold sweat. With her martial arts, she didn't even notice someone hiding nearby. This meant that these two people's martial arts were above her and not below her. As the two got closer, the expression on her face became more and more shocked. She couldn't help but cry out, "Wu Lai!" Water Spirit recognized these two people. The one walking behind them was Wu Ketien's younger brother, Wu Kedi. Wu Kedi's appearance didn't make Water Spirit panic. What surprised her was the person walking in front. Wu Lai. Wu Lai was Wu Ketien's uncle. In terms of seniority, he was twice as high as Wu Ketien. Wu Ketien's martial arts were strong, but compared to Wu Lai, the difference between the two was too great. Chapter 436. But seeing Wu Lai slowly walk over, Shui Lingzi was stunned for a long time before he hurriedly cupped his hands. Junior Shui Lingzi greets Senior Wu. Wu Lai waved his hand and sneered, "I just heard that you two brothers wanted to deal with my disappointing nephew together." Hearing Wu Lai's question, Shui Lingzi hurriedly waved his hand and said, "I don't dare, the Tiangong men and Kikyaro men's match isn't over yet, so I can't continue." But Senior's nephew didn't agree, so there was some conflict. Hearing Shui Lingzi's explanation, Wu Lai turned to Wu Ketien and asked, "Is what he said true? You dare to meddle in the affairs of other sects, aren't you crossing the line?" Wu Ketien heard this and hurriedly cupped his hands, "Uncle, don't blame me. The Tiangong men bullied others, and I couldn't stand it anymore, so I spoke up to stop them." After hearing Wu Ketien's words, Wu Lai turned to Shui Lingzi and said, "Shui Lingzi, since Kikyaro men doesn't want to compete with you, I think it's better to let this matter go. Everyone should live in harmony, don't you think this is good?" Shui Lingzi hurriedly waved his hand and said, "Senior doesn't know, but because of this match, even Vice Sect leader Han Qingyun went missing. Junior also suspects that Kikyaro men can't get away with it, so I want to use this match as an opportunity to thoroughly investigate this matter and take revenge for sect leader Han." As soon as Shui Lingzi's voice fell, before Wu Lai could speak, Wu Ketien spoke first, "Uncle, regarding the matter of sect leader Han, sect leader Sun has already explained it very clearly. In order to win this competition, the Heavens Craftsman faction's Han Qingyun had deceived Elder Ge, tricking him into taking that kind of drug that could instantly kill a person. In the end, Elder Ge had discovered it. In a fit of rage, he had gotten rid of Han Qingyun. Therefore, this matter has absolutely nothing to do with Kikyaro men. It is also for this reason that I spoke up for Kikyaro men." Hearing this, Wu Lai turned to look at Shui Lingzi and sneered, "I really didn't expect your Vice Sect Master Han Qingyun to be so vicious. Just to win a trivial match, he didn't hesitate to make his own master eat poison." At this point, Wu Lai paused for a moment before continuing in a cold voice, "For such a rebellious person, even if he were to disappear, it wouldn't be a big deal. The way I see it, it's better for him to disappear. Otherwise, if this kind of person stays in the Tiangong men, once outsiders find out, I'm afraid the Tiangong men's reputation will be tarnished." After hearing Wu Lai's words, Shui Lingzi's expression changed. Even if Han Qingyun was in the wrong, he was still the Vice Sect Master of the Heavens Craftsman faction. If a vice sect master of a faction was criticized and gossiped about by an outsider, even if this person was right, he would still feel uncomfortable. Thinking of this, Shui Lingzi cursed Han Qingyun in her heart for doing such an outrageous thing. The most important thing was that after hearing Wu Lai's words, she couldn't think of anything to say. Shui Lingzi felt her face burning as she forced a smile and said, Han Qingyun is a member of the Qiangongmen. Even if he made a mistake, he should be punished by the Qiangongmen. At this point, Shui Lingzi paused for a moment to organize the words she wanted to say before continuing. No matter what, Han Qingyun is still the vice leader of the Qiangongmen. Now that his whereabouts are unknown, we must find him. As for how the sect master will punish him, that is the matter of the Qiangongmen. Right now, this junior suspects that Kikyomen is lying. Han Qingyun's disappearance must be related to Kikyomen. After hearing Shui Lingzi's words, Wu Lai impatiently waved his hand. Shui Lingzi, you're already so old, why are you still so long-winded? Didn't I just tell you that Han Qingyun poisoned his master, Elder Ge, and was killed by Ji Yunfei in a fit of anger? Is there something wrong with that? I think we should just forget about this matter. Since Ji Yunfei has already avenged himself, and Han Qingyun has already received the punishment he deserves, you guys shouldn't pursue this matter anymore. Shui Lingzi heard this and shook her head. Impossible, this matter is definitely not done by Ji Yunfei. It can only be done by Kikyomen. Seeing Shui Lingzi still trying to defend herself, Wu Lai impatiently frowned. Shui Lingzi, don't talk nonsense. There is already an explanation for this matter. What else do you want? After hearing Wu Lai's words, Shui Lingzi shook her head. She turned to look at Wu Lai and suddenly asked, Senior, this morning, people of our Heaven's Craftsman faction saw Ji Yunfei. Speaking up to here, Shui Lingzi paused for a moment before continuing. Kikyomen said that in order to win the competition, Han Qingyun made Ji Yunfei eat a drug that can kill people. Shui Lingzi looked at Wu Lai and solemnly asked, Senior, do you know anything about drugs? Hearing Shui Lingzi's question, Wu Lai frowned and asked, Shui Lingzi, what do you want to say? Just say it, don't make this old man guess. Hearing Wu Lai's impatient words, Shui Lingzi didn't get angry and continued, Senior, at that time, the Qiangongmen and Kikyomen were competing, and if Han Qingyun wanted to win, he needed to increase Ji Yunfei's strength. So I'm sure that the drug that Han Qingyun made Ji Yunfei eat should be a drug that can increase one's strength. Let's assume that Han Qingyun really did such a thing. Let's just talk about the side effects of the drug. If there were such strong side effects, how could Ji Yunfei live until today? Speaking up to here, Shui Lingzi paused for a moment before continuing. As far as I know, as long as the effect of the drug wears off, the side effects of the drug will immediately take effect, and the effect of the drug won't last for long, at most 2 hours. That is to say, even if Han Qingyun made Ji Yunfei eat that drug, Ji Yunfei would immediately die after 2 hours. In that case, what about the Ji Yunfei the people of the Heaven's Craftsman faction saw today? When he first heard Shui Lingzi's words, Wu Lai didn't care, but by the end, his eyes were filled with shock. After a while, Wu Lai turned to Shui Lingzi and asked, Shui Lingzi, you've said so much, what do you want to say? Shui Lingzi cupped her hands towards Wu Lai and said, Senior, this junior only wants to say that Sect Master Sun is lying. What he said is not true. The Ji Yunfei we saw this morning is the evidence. That kind of drug with strong side effects, as long as one eats it, after the effect wears off, it will definitely take effect. Just now, Sect Master Sun said that Han Qingyun made Ji Yunfei eat a drug that can immediately kill a person, and it stands to reason that Ji Yunfei should have died that day. However, in this regard, Sect Leader Sun is lying. Ji Yunfei is clearly alive and well. This is the evidence. Chapter 437. Shui Lingzi continued, Senior, since Ji Yunfei is still alive, it proves that Sect Leader Sun is lying. Unless there's someone who can cure Ji Yunfei, it's all part of the 7 Skills Sect scheme. Hearing Shui Lingzi's analysis, Wu Lai nodded in his heart. That kind of medicine that could increase one's cultivation, although it was powerful, the side effects were also quite strong. Not only that, no one could resolve the side effects of this medicine. At least, in Wu Lai's life, he had never heard of anyone who could resolve the side effects of this medicine. Thinking of this, Wu Lai turned to Sun Chao and asked, "Sect leader Sun, what do you think about this matter?" Hearing this, Sun Chao shook her head. "What I said is true. If you don't believe me, you can ask Ji Yunfei." Hearing Sun Chao's answer, Wu Lai nodded and looked around before saying loudly, "Then let Ji Yunfei come out to see me. I will ask him face to face whether this matter is true or not." Hearing this, Sun Chao hurriedly said, "Unfortunately, Ji Yunfei went out to do something." Wu Lai coldly snorted, "When will Ji Yunfei come back?" Sun Chao shook her head and replied, "I don't know. Ji Yunfei went to Medicine King Pavilion and won't be back in a short time." Medicine King Pavilion. Wu Lai was surprised and asked, "Why did Ji Yunfei go to Medicine King Pavilion?" Hearing Wu Lai's question, Sun Chao subconsciously looked at Zhong Meng and shook her head, "I don't know." As soon as Sun Chao's voice fell, Shui Lingzi sneered, "How about it? I said that there must be a problem. Sect leader Sun must be deliberately hiding something and doesn't want us to know." Hearing this, Wu Lai looked at Sun Chao and asked coldly, "Is that so?" Sun Chao shook her head, "I have nothing to hide." Hearing this, Wu Lai sighed, "Sect leader Sun, since you don't want to say it, then I can't help you." After saying this, Wu Lai looked at Shui Lingzi and said with a smile, "Since sect leader Sun doesn't want me to help, then you can continue." Shui Lingzi was surprised and then sneered in her heart. Wu Lai, that sly old fox, wanted to be a good person. Not only that, he wanted to be the bad guy. Shui Lingzi was sure that if she forced Kikyaromen to compete with her, Sun Chao would have no choice but to ask Wu Lai for help. At that time, Wu Lai would be able to take down Kikyaromen fair and square, and his plan would be a complete failure. However, even though she knew what Wu Lai was thinking, Shui Lingzi was even more clear that her side was weaker than Wu Lai's, so she naturally didn't have the right to speak. Thinking of this, Shui Lingzi hurriedly cupped her fists and said, "Since senior thinks that our Changongmen and Kikyaromen shouldn't compete anymore, then this junior will respect senior's opinion and no longer compete with Kikyaromen." After hearing Shui Spirit's words, Wu Ketian suddenly sneered, "Shui Spirit, now that my uncle is here, you don't want to compete anymore?" Shui Lingzi heard this and cursed Wu Ketian in her heart for being shameless, but she couldn't do anything about it. She could only wave her hand and say, "What are you saying? Since Senior Wu's words are reasonable, then as juniors, why shouldn't we comply?" Wu Kedi, who had been silent all this time, suddenly said, "Since the Changongmen don't want to compete with Kikyaromen." At this point, Wu Kudi turned towards Wu Lai and cupped his hands, saying loudly, "Ji Yunfei's matter is very strange. Uncle, why don't we bring the 7 possibilities sex people back and interrogate them to see what the reason is so that we can find out the truth?" "No." Just as Wu Kedi's voice fell, the grumpy fire spirit couldn't help but shout, "No, I don't agree. Kikyaromen is our Changongmen's people. You can't take them away. If you want to take them away, then it should be us Changongmen who take them away." Hearing Fire Spirit's words, Wu Kedi suddenly stepped forward and said coldly, "Fire Spirit, don't use the Changongmen to pressure me." It was Shui Lingzi who said that the Changongmen and Kikyaromen no longer have any grudges. "Did you forget that so quickly?" Fire Spirit sneered, "Such a big thing happened during the competition between the Changongmen and Kikyaromen. Is it wrong for the Changongmen to take Kikyaromen's people back and interrogate them?" Speaking to hear, Fire Spirit paused and sneered again, "What's strange is that your Wu family clearly has nothing to do with this matter. Why are you in such a hurry to take Kikyaromen's people away?" I think there must be some purpose behind this." Wu Ketian stepped forward and sneered, "Purpose? What purpose? I just don't like you Changongmen bullying the weak. What purpose could there be?" Seeing that the two sides were about to fight again, Shui Lingzi quickly stepped forward and said, "Everyone, stop fighting." After saying this, Shui Lingzi turned to Wu Lai and cupped her hands, "Senior, to be honest, during the competition between the Changongmen and Kikyaromen, our vice head also went missing. Us 2 brothers came this time to take Kikyaromen back and interrogate them. Please help us." This time, without waiting for Wu Lai to answer, Wu Ketian suddenly burst into laughter. "Vice Sect Master is missing. I think your Heaven's Craftsman faction is the one with another purpose." Hearing this, Fire Spirit turned to Wu Ketian and said angrily, Wu Ketian, don't think that I'm afraid of you. Can't we take Kikyaromen's people back and interrogate them just because our vice head went missing during the competition? Wu Ketian suddenly said, Fire Spirit, sect head Sun has already explained this matter to you. What else do you want to ask? Could it be that you really have other purposes? Wu Ketian burst out laughing, Fire Spirit, don't think that we don't know that you guys are here this time around to seek revenge for Grandmaster Han. Neither are you here to investigate this matter. You have other motives. Ha. After hearing the Wu brothers' words, Shui Lingzi suddenly took a deep breath. She turned to Wu Lai and cupped her fists. If Wu clan can ignore this matter this time, Junior will owe Wu clan a favor on behalf of the Heaven's Craftsman Gate. Senior, if there's anything you need in the future, feel free to ask. As long as the Heaven's Craftsman Gate can do it, we will never decline. After hearing Shui Lingzi's words, Wu Lai's eyes lit up. Just as he was about to speak, Wu Kutian suddenly shouted, Shui Lingzi, do you really think that you can get rid of us with just a favor? Hearing Wu Kutian's words, Fire Spirit was furious and was about to curse, but Shui Lingzi stopped him. Stopping Fire Spirit, Shui Lingzi turned to Wu Kutian and cupped her hands. Wu Kutian, what can we do to satisfy you? Chapter 438. Hearing Shui Lingzi's question, Wu Kutian looked up to the sky and laughed. After a long time, he suddenly said, Shui Lingzi, we are all people with reputations here. There are some things that we all understand in our hearts. You just want us to owe you a favor and you want to obtain great benefits. Just who do you think we are? Fire Spirit heard this and said angrily, what does this have to do with you? Kikyaromen is competing with us Tiangongmen. Even if there are benefits, it's our Tiangongmen's business. Fire Spirit suddenly sneered, Wu Ketian, if you have the ability, you can also compete with Kikyaromen. If you win, we naturally have nothing to say. No matter what benefits there are, we Tiangongmen won't compete with you. Unfortunately, your Wu family doesn't have the ability and only knows how to talk. After hearing Fire Spirit's words, Wu Ketian's dragon head cane suddenly slammed on the ground and said coldly, we don't want to compete with Kikyaromen. We just want to find out the truth. Is that not allowed? Fire Spirit said angrily, I already said that this is between Kikyaromen and the Tiangongmen. We don't want outsiders to interfere. Please respect yourself and don't get involved in other people's business. Wu Kedi, who had been silent all this while, suddenly sneered and said, Fire Spirit, you keep saying that this is a matter of your Heaven's Craftsman faction. Then tell me, is the Seven Skills sect a member of your Heaven's Craftsman faction? Hearing Wu Kedi's question, Fire Spirit paused for a moment and then said coldly, when the Tiangongmen and Kikyaromen signed a contract, they also said that if the Tiangongmen competed with Kikyaromen and Kikyaromen lost, they would have to join the Tiangongmen. Wu Kedi, why don't you tell us if this is our Heaven's Craftsman faction's business? After hearing Fire Spirit's words, Wu Kedi suddenly clapped his hands and laughed. Funny, really funny. Fire Spirit, your words are too funny. The Tiangongmen and Kikyaromen competed. Although there was a contract, everyone knew that there was no winner. Since there was no winner, how could Kikyaromen become part of the Tiangongmen? Fire Spirit, your joke isn't funny at all. Fire Spirit snorted, whether it's funny or not, this is the truth. Since the Tiangongmen and Kikyaromen competed, then Kikyaromen must join the Tiangongmen. If Kikyaromen doesn't want to, then we'll continue the competition until there's a winner. Wu Ketian sneered, is this how you Tiangongmen do things? Since the two sides have already reached a draw, why do you still want to compete after so long? Isn't this the biggest joke in the world? This old man has been in Jianghu for so long and has never heard of such a thing. How funny. After hearing Wu Ketian's words, Water Spirit's face turned slightly red, but it quickly returned to normal. Wu Ketian, this is indeed a matter between the Tiangongmen and Kikyaromen. I hope that your Wu clan won't get involved. If you agree to our conditions, then we Tiangongmen won't forget about you. Speaking to here, Water Spirit paused for a bit before continuing. Our clan has recently developed a new type of armor. Its power is quite amazing. If you agree to not get involved in this matter, then I can represent the Tiangongmen and give you this new type of armor. Hearing Water Spirit's conditions, Wu Ketian's heart moved. He was about to speak when Wu Kedi suddenly said, Water Spirit, you're thinking too well. Although this old man didn't participate in the competition between the Changongmen and Kikyaromen, I've heard people say that Kikyaromen's armor made from wild bear skin was able to withstand a level 24 attack. Speaking to here, Wu Kedi sneered, I wonder if the armor that Water Spirit is giving us can withstand a level 24 attack. After hearing Wu Kedi's words, Wu Ketian suddenly realized and hurriedly said, that's right, Water Spirit. Can the armor that you're giving us be able to withstand a level 24 attack? Hearing Wu Ketian's words, Shui Lingzi was really angry. Equipment that could withstand a level 24 attack was top-quality equipment. Even if it was made by the Changongmen, it would take a lot of money and resources to make one. The equipment that Han Qingyun used in the competition with Kikyaromen was made from deep-sea cold iron and fine gold. Deep-sea cold iron and fine gold were both top-quality materials. Using these two rare materials to make an equipment that had to go through a high level of technology to be able to withstand a level 10 attack. To make a piece of equipment that could withstand a level 24 attack, even if it was made of metal, it wasn't an easy task. Even if the Changongmen had the technology, without good materials, they still wouldn't be able to make it. Now, Wu Ketian wanted a piece of equipment that could withstand a level 24 attack. Wasn't this a big joke? Needless to say, the Changongmen didn't have any right now. Even if they did, they wouldn't give it to Wu Ketian for free. Water Spirit was angry. He turned to look at Wu Lai, but he suppressed the anger in his heart. Wu Lai's martial arts wasn't something that he and Fire Spirit could deal with. Not to mention, the other side had Wu Ketian and Wu Kedi. Thinking of this, Water Spirit took a deep breath and cupped his fist towards Wu Lai. He said in a clear voice, Senior, the Changongmen don't have any equipment that can withstand a level 24 attack. I hope that Senior can change the condition. This junior will do his best to fulfill it. Hearing Water Spirit's words, Wu Lai nodded, alright, since you don't have any equipment that can withstand a level 24 attack, then give me 2 pieces of equipment that can withstand a level 20 attack. This can be considered as the Changongmen's sincerity. If you agree, then we will leave immediately and not bother you again. Hearing Wu Lai's words, Water Spirit felt anger rising in his heart. He wanted to explode, but he held it back. He knew that even if he was angry, the one who would be humiliated in the end would be him. Water Spirit thought for a moment before continuing, Senior, let's change the condition. A piece of equipment that can block a level 20 attack is already considered a top-quality piece of equipment. If you want to make this kind of equipment, you definitely won't be able to make it without good materials. Speaking of this, Water Spirit's heart suddenly moved. He quickly continued, Senior, you also know that if you want to make equipment that can withstand a level 20 attack, you will need good materials. How about this? I will agree to Senior's request on behalf of the Changongmen. It's just that the Changongmen don't have these materials right now, so I hope that Senior can give us some time. As long as we gather the materials, we will definitely make the equipment for Senior. After saying this, Water Spirit once again cupped his fist towards Wu Lai. Senior, if you agree, then this matter is settled. Chapter 439. After hearing Shui Lingzi's words, Wu Lai's heart was moved. In fact, Shui Lingzi's conditions were already very good. 2 pieces of equipment that could resist level 20 attacks, if he could really get them, it would definitely be worth it. On the market, if you wanted to get a piece of equipment that could resist level 20 attacks, the cost was not cheap. Not only that, sometimes even if you had the money, you wouldn't be able to buy it. Now that the Changongmen agreed to give him 2 pieces of equipment that could resist level 20 attacks, this was already a very good condition. Just when Wu Lai was about to agree, Wu Kedi suddenly moved to his side and whispered in his ear, Uncle, you definitely can't agree to it. During the match between Kikyaromen and the Changongmen, Kikyaromen's leather armor that was made from the skin of a wild bear can resist level 24 attacks. Not only that, if the match continues, it might even be able to resist level 25 attacks. Speaking up to here, Wu Kedi paused and turned to look at Sun Xiaoer, then continued, now that Kikyaromen who can make that kind of leather armor is here, if we bring them back and listen to them make some leather armor for us, wouldn't that be better than the 2 pieces of equipment that the Changongmen gave us? After hearing Wu Kedi's words, Wu Lai couldn't help but frown. He turned to look at Wu Kedi. Tell me, is the match between the Tiangongmen and Kikyaromen true? This matter was first known by Wu Kedi, then he informed his uncle Wu Lai, wanting to profit from it. Hearing Wu Lai's question, Wu Kedi hurriedly nodded. Uncle, it's definitely true. There were a lot of people at the scene. If it was only 1 or 2 people who said it, then it might be them, but with so many people saying it, it can't be a lie. Moreover, Shui Lingzi didn't even hesitate to give us 2 pieces of equipment that can resist level 20 attacks in order to stop us from interfering. Uncle, this is definitely true. It can't be fake. After listening to Wu Kudi's explanation, Wu Lai nodded. He then turned to Shui Ling and said with a smile, Shui Ling, we'll talk about the equipment later. If you have anything else to do, we'll just watch from the side. Saying so, Wu Lai no longer paid any attention to Water Spirit Z and slowly walked towards the fire. Looking at Wu Lai's back, Water Spirit clenched her teeth, cursing him in her heart for his insatiable greed. 2 pieces of equipment that could block a level 20 attack and he still wasn't satisfied. Although Shui Lingzi was angry in her heart, she knew that her martial arts were inferior to the other parties, so she could only endure. There were not only people from the Wu clan here, but also people from the Godly Blade sect and Shadowless. The strength of the people from the Godly Blade school was definitely not to be underestimated. As the only sect that could contend against the Sky Sword sect, they definitely had their own unique points in terms of martial arts. Although the Godly Saber school had only sent out Yin Dao, who could guarantee that there were no more powerful people from the Godly Saber school? Just like Wu Lai, when no one was paying attention, he suddenly came out of the darkness. The Godly Saber school was strong, so Shui Lingzi believed that there was a possibility. As for Shadowless, although he came alone, he definitely couldn't be underestimated. Shadowless was a famous godly thief in Jianghu. With his skills, there was nothing that he couldn't get. More importantly, Shadowless' identity was also very strong. It could even be said that he was stronger than the Godly Saber school. For Shadowless, Shui Lingzi was still very vigilant in case something else happened. In fact, even if nothing unexpected happened, the current situation wasn't something that Shui Lingzi could deal with. The purpose of Shui Lingzi and Fire Spirit's visit was naturally for Kikyaromen and Kikyaromen's production technology. Their original plan was to secretly bring the people from Kikyaromen back and this matter would be over. As long as they brought the people from Kikyaromen back, Shui Lingzi believed that no matter what Kikyaromen's secrets were, they would happily spill it. Under his methods, they wouldn't dare to hide anything. However, even though he wanted to do this, with so many people watching, how could he do it? Shui Lingzi was very clear that even though Wu Lai said that he wouldn't interfere in this matter and would only watch from the side, but if Shui Lingzi really wanted to bring the people from Kikyaromen away, Wu Lai would definitely not just watch from the side. He would definitely stop her. Shui Lingzi was in a difficult position, not knowing what to do next. Although Water Spirit was in a difficult position, Fire Spirit wasn't. Seeing that Wu Lai had already sat to the side, he immediately turned to Sun Qiao and said loudly, School Leader Sun, School Leader Han disappeared during the competition between Kikyaromen and the Tiangongmen. So, we would like to invite School Leader Sun to come back with us and investigate this matter thoroughly. From their words, Sun Qiao understood that none of these people came here with good intentions. These people all had a common goal, which was to obtain Kikyaromen's leather armor-making technology, the kind that could withstand level 24 attacks. Thinking of this, Sun Qiao's forehead exuded fine beads of sweat. She thought that this matter was over and that the Chichiao could leave without worry. However, she didn't think that the competition between the Tiangongmen and Kikyaromen would bring so much trouble. Not only that, but it seemed that the trouble was far from over. In the entire South Province, who knew how many sects and families were eyeing Kikyaromen covetously, wanting to obtain the leather armor-making technology that could withstand level 25 attacks. Thinking of this, Sun Qiao looked at the pitch-black night sky around her. She suddenly had a feeling that there were still many people hiding in this darkness, waiting for an opportunity. Sun Qiao felt a chill in her heart. Just the people in front of her were not people that Kikyaromen could deal with. If more powerful people appeared, Kikyaromen would be destroyed. As for Kikyaromen's leather armor-making technology, Sun Qiao could only bitterly smile. If they really had this technology, Kikyaromen wouldn't be like this. They would have used this technology to become a big sect like the Tiangongmen. Sun Qiao calmed herself down and looked at Fire Spirit as she softly said, "I've already said this. What happened to school leader Han was definitely not done by Kikyaromen. It was Han Qingyun who went back on his word and tricked Elder Ge into taking the pill that was responsible for increasing his power. After Elder Ge realized that he had been tricked, he angrily took action and killed both Han Yuchao and Han Qingyun." At this point, Sun Qiao paused for a moment before continuing, "Everything I said is true. There were many people present at the time. If you don't believe me, you can ask anyone." Chapter 440. After hearing Sun Qiao's reply, Fire Spirit was stunned. Naturally, he knew that what Sun Qiao said was true. After the competition ended, when they received the news, they immediately investigated the matter. The results were similar to what Sun Qiao said. However, even if they knew that Sun Qiao was telling the truth, so what? Their main goal this time wasn't to find out the truth, but to bring back Kikyaromen's people. Then, they would use all sorts of methods to obtain Kikyaromen's crafting techniques. That was their true goal. When he heard his disciples report about the competition between the Tiangongmen and Kikyaromen, Fire Spirit was still in shock. As a master of equipment crafting, the Fire Spirit was naturally very clear about the quality of the wild bear's skin. Although he didn't know how to craft leather armor, he was very clear that it was impossible to craft any high-strength leather armor with this kind of material. However, Kikyaromen did it. They used a normal wild bear's skin to make a leather armor that could withstand a level 25 attack. This was beyond Fire Spirit Z's imagination. If the wild bear's skin could be made into a leather armor that could withstand a level 25 attack, then what was the use of those precious materials? Moreover, even if those precious materials were used to make the equipment, it definitely wouldn't be able to withstand a level 25 attack. Not to mention a piece of equipment that could withstand a level 25 attack, even a piece of equipment that could withstand a level 20 attack would require precious materials. Those materials were so precious that they couldn't even be bought with a single gold coin. Fire Spirit even thought that if they had that kind of crafting technique, then why would they need good materials? If they could use normal materials to make armor that could withstand a level 25 attack, then what was the point of using good materials? In order to obtain Kikyaromen's crafting techniques, Fire Spirit was willing to pay any price. Therefore, even though they knew that Sun Qiao was telling the truth, he would never admit it. Fire Spirit looked at Sun Qiao and suddenly said loudly, "Sect Master Sun, since this incident happened during the competition between the Heavens Craftsman faction and the Seven Skills sect, I hope that Sect Master Sun will return with us to investigate this matter." At this point, Fire Spirit paused before continuing, "Sect Leader Sun, don't worry. As long as you cooperate with our investigation, I can guarantee your safety. Nothing will go wrong." After hearing Fire Spirit's words, Sun Qiao quickly waved her hand and said, "No, we still have things to do. We can't delay. If you have any questions, ask them here." Hearing Sun Qiao's answer, the Fire Spirit looked around and sneered, "Sect Leader Sun, do you think it's convenient for us to ask about this in a place like this?" Before Sun Qiao could reply, Wu Ketian said loudly, "Fire Spirit, you don't have to be polite. Just ask and pretend we can't hear you." At this point, Wu Ketian paused for a moment before continuing, "You can also pretend that we don't exist. There are only you and the people from 7 Possibilities sect here. That way, you can feel at ease asking." Hearing Wu Ketian's words, Sun Qiao quickly nodded and said, "Yes, ask whatever you want. As long as I know, I'll answer you. Let's not go to the Tiangongmen. It's the same here." Fire Spirit turned around and glared at Wu Ketian. He said angrily, "Since we're going to pretend you don't exist, then why are you still wasting your breath?" Hearing this, Wu Ketian's expression changed. He pointed at Huolingzi and angrily said, "Huolingzi, this old man has endured you for a long time. Be more polite with your words. Don't piss me off, or you'll be in for it." Fire Spirit heard this and laughed. After laughing, he coldly said, "Being polite depends on who you're talking to. This is already the most polite thing I can do to someone like you who doesn't know what's good for you." Hearing Fire Spirit's provocation, Wu Ketian couldn't take it anymore. He suddenly waved his dragon head cane and drew a semicircle in the air. Then, he smashed it towards Fire Spirit with a strong wind. The Fire Spirit sneered. With a flash, he jumped to the side and dodged the thunderous attack. Wu Ketian's attack didn't hit. While the dragon head cane was still in the air, he suddenly changed his attack. It suddenly changed from a head-on smash to a sweep. The Fire Spirit had just dodged to the side, but he had been paying attention to Wu Ketian's dragon head cane. When he saw the dragon head cane stop in the air, he immediately knew what Wu Ketian was thinking. Seeing that the dragon head cane was going to sweep horizontally, he suddenly jumped into the air and threw out a palm strike towards Wu Ketian. Wu Ketian didn't expect Fire Spirit to change his attack so quickly. When he saw Fire Spirit's palm strike, he quickly turned his dragon head cane and used the tail of the cane to poke upwards towards Fire Spirit. Both of their moves were incomparably fast. Even if they wanted to change their moves, it was already impossible. Everyone only heard a muffled sound in the air. Fire Spirit's palm had already hit the tail of the dragon head cane. Both of their bodies shook at the same time and they were pushed back by the force. Wu Ketian took 2 steps back. He was furious. He immediately waved his dragon head cane and smashed it towards Fire Spirit again. Who knew that when he took a step forward, he was stopped by Wu Kedi again. Wu Kedi leaned towards Wu Ketian's ear and whispered, "Big brother, don't do it for now. There are outsiders here." Upon hearing Wu Kedi's words, Wu Ketian came to a realization. If he were to fight with the people of the Heavens Craftsman faction now, wouldn't the outsiders benefit in the end? Thinking about this, Wu Ketian snorted coldly. He stopped and slammed his dragon head cane on the ground. "Fire Spirit, I'll let you live today. I'll deal with you later." On the other side, Fire Spirit was also pulled back by Water Spirit. However, Water Spirit didn't say anything. She only used her eyes to look around. Fire Spirit saw Water Spirit's eyes and immediately understood. Hearing Wu Ketian's provocation, he only sneered. "Wu Ketian, we'll deal with this later." After pulling the 2 of them back, Water Spirit turned to Sun Qiao and said, "Sect Leader Sun, we just want to investigate this matter. We don't have any evil intentions." Speaking up to here, Water Spirit paused for a moment before continuing, "You also saw it. How are we going to investigate here? There are too many people here. I think we should go back and investigate. Only then can we solve this problem as soon as possible. I hope Sect Leader Sun can agree to this request." Shui Lingzi now understood that it was impossible to forcefully bring Sun Qiao back to the Chiqiao sect with so many people watching. Now, she could only change her strategy and try to coax Sun Qiao to go back first. After hearing Water Spirit's words, Sun Qiao shook her head again. "I still have things to do. I really can't go back to the Tiangong men with you." Chapter 441. Seeing that Sun Qiao wasn't willing to leave, Water Spirit's heart was filled with anger. She said in a deep voice, "Sect Leader Sun, our vice-sect leader disappeared during your competition. Shouldn't you take some responsibility? Now that I'm inviting you back to help with the investigation, you're still trying to refuse. Do you think that the Tiangong men can't do anything to you?" Sun Qiao shook her head. "We are indeed busy right now." Speaking until here, he looked at the carriage around him and said bitterly, "As you can see, we do have something to do. We really can't go back with you to investigate. If you have any questions, you can ask me here. If I know, I will definitely answer you." Hearing Sun Qiao's answer, Fire Spirit couldn't hold it in anymore and angrily said, "Sect Leader Sun, do you really want us to force you to go back with us?" Sun Qiao's expression suddenly changed. Just as she was about to speak, Wu Ketian suddenly laughed and said, "Haha, how is it? You finally can't hold it in anymore and want to use force." Speaking up to here, Wu Ketian suddenly sneered, "I don't think Sect Master Sun has anything to do with this matter. It's better if you don't force it. Even outsiders like us can't bear to see you do this. I think we should just forget about this matter." Fire Spirit angrily said, "Wu Ketian, you already promised us that you wouldn't get involved in this matter. Why are you going back on your words?" Wu Ketian sneered and said, "Us Jianghu people are all about loyalty. Now that you're not loyal, you can't blame us for being nosy." Fire Spirit angrily said, "Could it be that our Tiangongmen died for nothing? Can't we even investigate?" Hearing Fire Spirit's accusation, Wu Ketian quickly waved his hand. "Fire Spirit, that's not right. I'm not saying that it's wrong for you to investigate this matter. I just want to say that since sect leader Sun has already said that she has something to do, you can ask her now. As long as she knows, she'll tell you. Also, as you can see, there are so many carriages here. This is enough to prove that Kikyaromen has something to do and isn't using this as an excuse. If you have something to ask, it's right to ask here." Fire Spirit angrily said, "No, this is our sect's secret. We can't let outsiders know. We must bring Kikyaromen's people back. Only then can we investigate this matter." Wu Ketian sneered, "Why do I feel that you want to bring Kikyaromen's people back?" Fire Spirit. Wu Ketian's words. Wu Ketian's words, "So what if we have something to do with you? This is our Timon's business. What does it have to do with you? Its to you, I advise you don't get involved in this matter to you." Hearing Fire Spirit's words, Wu Ketian suddenly laughed. "Fire Spirit, when we see injustice on the road, we have to help. This is our duty as Jianghu's people. Now that I see you doing something wrong, I have to interfere." After hearing Wu Ketian's words, Shui Lingzi suddenly said, "Wu Ketian, do you really think we're afraid of you? Is that why you're so aggressive and come looking for trouble with our Heaven's Craftsman faction?" Wu Ketian shook his head and sneered, "The Tiangongmen are rich and powerful. Who would dare to cause trouble for you Tiangongmen? It's just that you Tiangongmen are doing something wrong, so we have to remind you." Hearing this, Water Spirit cupped her fists towards Wu Ketian, "Then thank you for your reminder." After saying this, Water Spirit turned to Sun Qiao and slowly said, "Sect leader Sun, there are only two choices. One is for you to go back and help me with the investigation. The other is for you to compete here until we decide the winner between us Tiangongmen and you Kikyaromen. Only then will this matter be over." Sun Qiao heard this and quickly waved her hand, "No, we can't go back with you to investigate." Hearing Sun Qiao's answer, Water Spirit sneered, "Since you can't go back with us to investigate, then you have to compete with us." Hearing Water Spirit's question, Sun Qiao quickly waved her hand again, "No, we don't have the equipment to compete with you." Water Spirit sneered, "Since it's like this, then this competition will be considered your Kikyaromen's loss." Hearing Water Spirit's words, Sun Qiao anxiously shouted, "Impossible, our competition is clearly a draw, how can it be considered our loss?" Water Spirit heard this and coldly snorted, "You also know that our competition is a draw, this is against the rules. We have to compete until there is a winner." After saying this, Water Spirit's tone suddenly became cold, "We have to compete until we win the other side's prize. Sect leader Sun, do you remember what Kikyaromen's prize was?" Hearing Water Spirit's question, Sun Qiao's face suddenly changed. Naturally, she remembered very clearly what the prize for the competition was. Once the Tiangongmen lost, they would take out the Tiangongmen's treasure, the Heaven and Earth Cauldron, and give it to Kikyaromen. Kikyaromen, on the other hand, didn't have such a precious thing. Once they lost, they would have to join the Tiangongmen. This was the guess of both sides, and also the prize that Sun Qiao wasn't willing to accept. Seeing that Sun Qiao didn't answer, Water Spirit didn't wait for her reply and continued. "Sect leader Sun, if you refuse to accept the competition, then according to the rules of the competition, it means that you have lost." Speaking up to here, Water Spirit once again sneered, "Sect leader Sun, if you lose this competition, according to the contract, Kikyaromen will have to join the Tiangongmen. I hope sect leader Sun won't deny it." After hearing Water Spirit's words, Sun Qiao's face became a little sad. According to the rules of the competition, if one side took the initiative to withdraw from the competition, it would indeed be judged as the loss. Once Kikyaromen lost, Sun Qiao was absolutely unwilling to accept this result. But if she didn't accept, what could she do? Go back with them for investigation? Sun Qiao knew very well that the Heaven's Craftsman faction wanted them to go back for investigation. This was just an excuse. She was sure that as long as she agreed, it wouldn't be easy for her to walk out of the Heaven's Craftsman faction again. In the past, when the Tiangongmen wanted Kikyaromen to join them, Their original goal was to absorb a small sect and use this name to attract more small sects to join them, thus increasing the strength of the Tiangongmen and making the Tiangongmen even more powerful. In the past, Kikyaromen was just an unimportant chess piece. In fact, their joining wasn't of much help to the Tiangongmen. Kikyaromen was just an example to other small sects to see the strength of the Tiangongmen, so that those small sects wouldn't dare to refuse the Tiangongmen's invitation. But now it was different. Kikyaromen suddenly emerged as a new force to be reckoned with. With a piece of leather armor made from the skin of a wild bear, they were able to resist a level 24 attack. Chapter 442. Kikyaromen was able to withstand a level 24 attack with just a piece of armor made from the skin of a wild bear. This was absolutely unbelievable. If a piece of armor made from the skin of a wild bear could reach such a level, then wouldn't the Tiangongmen be invincible under the heavens? In order to obtain this technology, the Tiangongmen's two consecrators, Water Spirit and Fire Spirit, hurriedly chased after Kikyaromen to bring them back. Unfortunately, their plan was ruined by the Wu clan. Not only that, the Godly Sword Sect and the mysterious Shadowless also joined in. Water Spirit's heart was in a very difficult position. He didn't know what to do. According to his original plan, as long as he caught up with the people from Kikyaromen, he would immediately use force to bring all the people from Kikyaromen back. As for the manufacturing technology of Kikyaromen, Water Spirit believed that as long as he brought the people from Kikyaromen back, he would have a way to make them reveal the manufacturing technology. But all of this, such a perfect plan, was ruined by a few people in front of him. Water Spirit took a few deep breaths, barely suppressing the anger in his heart. He turned to Sun Qiao and said, "Sect leader Sun, I advise you to come back with us to assist in the investigation. I promise you that no one will harm you. As long as this matter is investigated, I will immediately let you go. I will not go back on my words." Hearing Water Spirit's words, Sun Qiao was stunned for a while before suddenly saying, "Senior Water Spirit, this matter was really done by Ji Yunfei. It has nothing to do with Kikyaromen. If you don't believe me, we can wait for Ji Yunfei to come back and discuss this matter." Sun Qiao paused for a moment before continuing. As the vice-sect master of the Heaven's Craftsman sect, Han Qingyun's martial arts are naturally powerful. To put it bluntly, no one in our Seven Skills sect is a match for him. Even if we wanted to kill him, I'm afraid we wouldn't be able to do so because none of us is a match for him. Naturally, we can't kill him. Hearing Sun Qiao's answer, Shui Lingzi naturally knew that it was true. Shui Lingzi is a cautious person. Before coming here, she had already investigated clearly. The people of Kikyaromen don't have any martial arts experts. Even if they do know some martial arts, it wouldn't be very high. It was because of this that he and the Fire Spirit came here to bring the Kikyaromen back. However, even if Shui Lingzi knew this, she wouldn't admit it. Facing Sun Qiao's question, Shui Lingzi pondered for a moment before replying with a sneer. "Sect leader Sun, if you want to kill someone, you don't have to rely on martial arts alone. In fact, there are many ways to kill someone. For example, poisoning, plotting, or hiring other experts. These are all things that can be done. So, in this matter, the Kikyaromen didn't get rid of the suspicion. On the contrary, the suspicion is even greater." Hearing Shui Lingzi's words, Sun Qiao anxiously shouted. "Nonsense, there were so many people present at the time. Everyone saw it clearly. How could we do something like poisoning?" Shui Lingzi shook her head and said, "Since there were so many people watching from the side, sect leader Sun should go back and investigate with us. With so many people testifying for you, what do you have to be afraid of? Our Heaven's Craftsman faction has strict rules and will never harm Faction Master Sunday. Please believe us, Faction Master Sunday. We'll definitely give Faction Master Sun justice." Speaking up to here, Shui Lingzi paused for a moment before continuing, "If Sect Master Sun returns with us, not only will you be able to prove your innocence, but you will also be able to help us find out who the real culprit is. Killing two birds with one stone, why not?" Hearing Shui Lingzi's words, Sun Qiao's forehead was covered in cold sweat. Just as she was about to explain, she suddenly heard Shadowless, who had been silent this whole time. "Shui Lingzi, since sect leader Sun already said that this matter was done by Ji Yunfei, why didn't you go find Ji Yunfei instead of sect leader Sun?" Is there some other reason that forced you to bring the Kikyaromen people back? Hearing Shadowless' words, Fire Spirit angrily said, Shadowless, no one will think you're mute if you don't speak. This is a matter between the Tiangongmen and Kikyaromen. I hope you won't meddle in other people's business. Speaking to hear, Fire Spirit paused for a moment before gritting his teeth and saying, if you keep meddling in other people's business, then don't blame me for being impolite. Shadowless heard this and smiled faintly. Fire Spirit, do you Tiangongmen always bully the weak? Fire Spirit angrily said, so what, do you have a problem with that? Shadowless sighed, Jianghu matters naturally need to be handled by Jianghu people. Right now, you Tiangongmen are bullying the weak and doing things that other people don't want to do. As an outsider, I really can't stand it anymore. Hearing this, Fire Spirit curled his lips and sneered, Shadowless, are you going against our Heaven's Craftsman faction? Hearing Fire Spirit's question, Shadowless quickly waved his hand and said, no, as long as you Tiangongmen do things impartially, I, Shadowless, won't say anything. Fire Spirit took a step forward and said angrily, Shadowless, are you saying that we Tiangongmen don't do things impartially? Shadowless heard this and sneered, if you Tiangongmen do things impartially, you can ask everyone here. If they all say that you Tiangongmen do things impartially, then I, Shadowless, won't say anything. Hearing Shadowless words, Fire Spirit looked around and saw that everyone had a cold smile on their faces. Wu Ketian saw Fire Spirit look over and sneered, Fire Spirit, you don't have to look at me. If you want to ask me, I can tell you directly. The things you Tiangongmen do are bullsh*t. Hearing Wu Ketian's words, Fire Spirit couldn't hold it in anymore. He suddenly roared and stomped hard on the ground. His entire body was like an arrow that left the bow and shot towards Wu Ketian like lightning. Hee. Following Wu Ketian's sneer, the dragon head cane in his hand drew a half circle in front of him. Suddenly, a golden light appeared in front of him and blocked his path. Although Fire Spirit was furious, he knew that if he wanted to use his fist to smash Wu Ketian's dragon head cane, he would be at a great disadvantage. The Fire Spirit roared again. He stomped on the ground with his left foot and his entire body tilted. Just as he was about to fall, he suddenly kicked Wu Ketian's leg under the golden light created by Wu Ketian's dance. Seeing this, Wu Ketian was shocked. Although Wu Ketian's dragon head cane was powerful, it wasn't as agile as his own hands and feet. Seeing the Fire Spirit attacking from below, Wu Ketian wanted to use the dragon head cane to block it, but it was impossible. Chapter 443. Wu Ketian wanted to use the dragon head crutch to block the Fire Spirit's attack, but it was too late. He had no choice but to retreat as fast as he could. At the same time, the dragon head crutch in his hand smashed towards the Fire Spirit. The Fire Spirit sneered in his heart at Wu Ketian's move. He saw Wu Ketian retreat and was about to fall to the ground. At this moment, the Fire Spirit pressed his hand on the ground with lightning speed. With a forceful press, his falling body shot towards the retreating Wu Ketian like a cannonball. The Fire Spirit's move was extremely fast. If he wasn't experienced in battle, he wouldn't have been able to react so quickly. The Fire Spirit had already punched out in mid-air. At this moment, he was already at a place where Wu Ketian's dragon head crutch could not reach. If the two were to fight head-on, Wu Ketian would not be able to get close to the Fire Spirit with his dragon head crutch. However, once the Fire Spirit entered the range of the dragon head crutch, Wu Ketian's dragon head crutch would lose its effect. Not only did Wu Ketian's dragon head crutch lose its effect, but it also became a burden. This was because his dragon head crutch could not hit the Fire Spirit. On the contrary, he had to hold onto the dragon head crutch with both hands. He had no way of blocking the Fire Spirit's attack. Wu Ketian did not panic facing the Fire Spirit's fast attack. He sneered and flew into the sky. Not only did he dodge the Fire Spirit's attack, he also waved his dragon head crutch and smashed it towards the Fire Spirit's back. Hearing the sound of wind behind him, the Fire Spirit had already guessed that Wu Ketian was attacking him from behind. The Fire Spirit roared. While rolling, he stomped on the ground with one foot and soared up like an eagle. He somersaulted in the air and continued to chase after Wu Ketian. Wu Ketian saw the Fire Spirit's ferocious momentum and the dragon head crutch under him. He had no choice but to use one hand to meet the Fire Spirit's fists. Bang! When the two fists collided, there was a muffled sound in the air. It stirred up a strong wind that shot out in all directions. The two paused in the air for a moment. Then, both of them were forced back. Just as Wu Ketian was about to land on the ground, he heard the sound of something breaking through the air behind him. He was shocked and hurriedly used the dragonhead walking stick to tap on the ground. His whole body once again leaped into the air. Wu Ketian's figure had just leapt up when Water Spirit's fist filled with Zhenqi flew past him. When Wu Ketian saw this, he was immediately enraged. Shui Lingzi, you two despicable people dare to bully me with numbers, what kind of heroes are you? Wu Ketian hadn't even finished his words when Water Spirit Zi's attack arrived. Wu Ketian was being attacked by Water Spirit and Fire Spirit wasn't having a good time either. Just now, the two of them had changed positions in the air and exchanged punches in the air. Their figures instantly fell into each other's camp. Wu Ketian landed near Water Spirit while Fire Spirit floated towards Wu Kedi and Wu Lai. To deal with Fire Spirit, Wu Lai naturally disdained to make a move. Wu Kedi, on the other hand, was not polite at all. When he saw Fire Spirit flying towards him, he immediately stepped on the ground and flew towards Fire Spirit. Wu Kedi was in the air, his two fists continuously punched out. Zhenqi was constantly flowing out from his fists like crazy waves. Layers of Zhenqi rushed towards Fire Spirit. After Fire Spirit was forced back, he was already prepared for a sneak attack. So when he retreated, he did a somersault in the air and faced Wu Kedi head-on. When Fire Spirit saw Wu Kedi rushing towards him, he was also shocked. He hurriedly punched out with both fists towards Wu Kedi. Boom! After a muffled sound, Wu Kedi's body paused in the air and he borrowed the momentum to land on the ground. Because Fire Spirit was panicking, his strength was naturally not as strong as Wu Kedi's. After the two fists collided, Fire Spirit was like a kite that had left its string and flew backwards. Wu Ketian jumped into the air and saw Shui Lingzi's attack coming again. He was shocked and hurriedly waved his dragon head walking stick towards Shui Lingzi's face. However, Water Spirit was prepared and Wu Ketian was panicking. In terms of speed, he was naturally not as fast as Water Spirit. When Wu Ketian waved his dragon head walking stick, Water Spirit's fist had already landed on Wu Ketian's arm. Wu Ketian only felt pain in his arm and couldn't help but groan. Under this force, he was sent flying. Water Spirit was overjoyed at the success of her punch. Just as she was about to attack again, she suddenly saw Fire Spirit being knocked back. She was startled and quickly stabilized herself before rushing towards Fire Spirit. On the other side, Wu Kedi also saw that Wu Ketian was injured and naturally didn't dare to chase Fire Spirit. He could only stabilize his body and run towards Wu Ketian. Water Spirit quickly arrived in front of Fire Spirit and saw that there was a trace of blood on the corner of Fire Spirit's mouth. She was worried and quickly asked, "How are you? Are you okay?" Hearing Water Spirit's call, Fire Spirit calmed down his surging chi and said, "I'm fine. It's just that my chi is a bit messed up. I'll be fine after some rest." After hearing Fire Spirit's words, Water Spirit felt a bit relieved. She stood up and looked at Wu Kudi, angrily saying, "You're bullying me with numbers, what kind of skill is that? If you have the ability, then let's fight." Hearing Water Spirit's accusation, Wu Kedi also stood up and said angrily, "Water Spirit, you're really shameless. You still have the face to say that we're bullying you with numbers. Look at my big brother. Wasn't he also heavily injured by you?" Seeing Wu Ketian frowning, Water Spirit's mood calmed down a bit. Although Fire Spirit was injured, Wu Ketian was also injured by her. This round could be considered a draw. Thinking of this, Water Spirit took a deep breath and calmed herself down. Then she said loudly, "You guys already promised us that you won't meddle in our business with Kikyaro men. But you guys kept going back on your words. What do you mean? Do you really want to be enemies with the Tiangong men?" Hearing Water Spirit's question, Wu Kedi sneered, "Could it be that you Tiangong men are being unfair and you don't allow us to talk about it?" Speaking of this, Wu Kedi suddenly sneered and continued, "Water Spirit, do you really think that Tiangong men can cover the sky with one hand?" Hearing this, Shui Lingzi angrily retorted, "This is a matter between our Heaven's Craftsman faction and Seven Possibilities sect. We can't let outsiders interfere. Your Wu clan is already being unfair by meddling in other people's business. How can you accuse our Heaven's Craftsman faction of being unfair? Wu Kedi sneered. Kikyaromen's people don't want to go with you Tiangongmen and have already made things clear. But you Tiangongmen still don't want to let go. Am I wrong to say something fair? Chapter 444. Wu Kedi paused for a moment before continuing. Shui Lingzi, you don't have to be upset. I'm not the only one who doesn't like what you guys are doing. If you don't believe me, you can ask others. Wu Kedi then turned to Shadowless and asked with a smile, Brother Shadowless, the Tiangongmen are forcing Kikyaromen to go back with them. What do you think? Upon hearing Wu Kedi's question, Shadowless sneered. The Heaven's Craftsman faction is rude and unreasonable, yet they don't allow others to talk about it. What a joke. This time, they are forcing the Seven Skills sect to return with them. I, Shadowless, will never agree to such a rude and unreasonable thing. You, hearing Shadowless' answer, no matter how scheming Shui Lingzi was, she almost flew into a rage. Wu Kedi laughed coldly. Shui Lingzi, what else do you have to say? You heard it yourself. I'm not the only one who said that the Tiangongmen are unreasonable. If you don't believe me, you can ask others. Wu Kedi laughed coldly again and said coldly, if anyone here says that the Tiangongmen are right, I, Wu Kedi, will not speak again and will no longer interfere with the matters of the Tiangongmen. What do you think, Shui Lingzi? Hearing Wu Kedi's words, Shui Lingzi gritted her teeth and turned to look at godly sword sect's Yin Dao. She said slowly, Brother Yin Dao, this is a dispute between the Tiangongmen and Kikyaromen. We want to bring Kikyaromen back because we want to ask what happened to our sect leader Han during the competition. Other than that, we don't have any other thoughts. After saying that, Shui Lingzi paused for a moment before saying sincerely, if the Godly Blade sect was the one handling this matter today, the Heaven's Craftsman sect would definitely not meddle. On the other hand, since the Heaven's Craftsman sect is handling this matter, I hope that the Godly Blade sect will not get involved in this matter either. Shui Lingzi looked at Yin Dao and asked with a smile, Brother Yin Dao, am I right? Hearing Shui Lingzi's words, Yin Dao's face suddenly changed. After a long silence, he sighed, Senior Shui Lingzi, this matter is too outrageous. Even if Junior's martial arts are low, I can't stand it anymore. Hearing Yin Dao's reply, Shui Lingzi's pupils shrank. She never thought that a little Yin Dao would dare to oppose her. Thinking of this, Shui Lingzi's heart was suddenly filled with rage. He swung his long sleeve at the silver blade, and a powerful astral wind was released from his sleeve, whistling towards the silver blade. She might have to be careful when dealing with the Wu brothers, but she didn't care too much about a small Yin Dao. Although Yin Dao's martial arts are good, but in front of Shui Lingzi, it's not enough. Seeing Shui Lingzi suddenly attack, Yin Dao was shocked and hurriedly dodged. But Shui Lingzi's sudden attack, coupled with the fact that Shui Lingzi's martial arts were higher than his, how could he dodge? Yin Dao's face suddenly changed. Knowing that he couldn't dodge, he could only roar and push his palms forward with all his strength, wanting to block Shui Lingzi's attack. But the difference between his martial arts and Shui Lingzi's was too great. Even if he attacked with all his strength, he might not be able to block this attack. Just as Yin Dao stretched out his palms, a strong gust of wind came head-on. Yin Dao only felt that this gust of wind was getting stronger and stronger. In the end, he could no longer stand steadily. Following this gust of wind, he took a few steps back before he could stabilize himself. Just as Yin Dao stabilized his body, he felt his blood and qi churn. Frightened, he hurriedly calmed his qi and adjusted his qi to calm down. Just as Shui Lingzi repelled Yin Dao, she heard applause from the side. Good, Tiangongmen are really good. Even if they are wrong, they don't want others to say that they are wrong. The person who spoke was Wu Kedi. Wu Kedi sighed, it's really a pity for the Godly Blade sect. Just because they said a word of justice, they suffered this kind of disaster. Really pitiful. Wu Kedi turned to look at Shui Lingzi and sneered, Shui Lingzi, is this how you Tiangongmen treat people who oppose you? When you meet someone who opposes you, you deal with them by force. Is this the tradition of you Tiangongmen? Dao. Shui Lingzi heard this and angrily said, Wu Kedi, don't talk nonsense. You don't need to say what we Tiangongmen do. Speaking up to here, Shui Lingzi suddenly sneered and pointed at Wu Kedi. Wu Kedi, you keep saying that we Tiangong are unfair. Do you think I don't know what you are doing here today? In the end, isn't it because of that matter? Wu Kedi, since you aren't afraid of offending the Tiangong, then I'll tell you bluntly. We Tiangong aren't afraid of your Wu clan either. Even if our two clans fight, the ones who will benefit from it will be the outsiders. Wu Kedi heard this and shook his head. We did come here to do something, but it's definitely not the same thing as what you Tiangong want to do. Shui Lingzi heard this and her eyes suddenly lit up. She asked in surprise, are you telling the truth? You really didn't come for that matter? Wu Kedi sneered, why should I tell you whether it's true or not? If you want to believe it's true, then believe it. If you think it's false, then we won't stop you. No matter what you think, it's your own business. It has nothing to do with us. Hearing Wu Kedi's words, Shui Lingzi took a deep breath and suppressed the anger that was about to erupt. After calming down, she cupped her fists and said, Wu Kedi, I just agreed to give your Wu clan 2 pieces of level 20 equipment. I hope that no matter what happens from now on, your Wu clan won't interfere. Speaking up to here, Shui Lingzi's tone became even more sincere. As long as your Wu clan agrees, I, on behalf of the Tiangong, am willing to become friends with the Wu clan. In the future, if the Wu clan wants any equipment, just say the word and we Tiangong will sell it to you at the lowest price in the market. How about it, Wu Kedi? As long as you agree to not interfere in this matter, we Tiangong always keep our word. From now on, we will treat the Wu clan as our best friend. Hearing Shui Lingzi's words, Wu Kedi subconsciously glanced at Wu Lai. It had to be said that Shui Lingzi's conditions were very generous. The Tiangong were the biggest equipment-making sect in the South region, so they naturally had a lot of good equipment. If the Wu clan agreed to Shui Lingzi's conditions, it would be much easier to get the Tiangong to make equipment for them in the future. The equipment made by the Tiangong had a lot of defense, but it was very expensive. Chapter 445. The equipment made by the Tiangong were very expensive. Even the Wu family could only back down in front of many of them. Although the Wu family could afford those excellent equipment, they couldn't spend the entire family's resources just to buy 1 piece of equipment. With Shui Lingzi's promise, it would be much cheaper to buy this kind of equipment in the future. Thinking of this, Wu Kedi was really tempted. Wu Kedi was very clear about why they came this time. Since the Tiangong had made a promise, why would he still need to accomplish his goal? Seeing Wu Kedi's tempted appearance, Shui Lingzi sneered in her heart. As long as they brought back the Kikyomen people and obtained their leather armor-making technology, it would be very easy to obtain equipment with amazing defense in the future. The 7 Possibilities sect was able to use the skin of an ordinary wild bear to make heaven-defying leather armor with heaven-defying defense. If they obtained this technology, they could use ordinary materials to make armor with amazing defense and sell it to the Wu family at a high price. Wouldn't this be the best of both worlds? Thinking of this, Shui Lingzi hurriedly cupped her fists towards Wu Kedi and said sincerely, Wu Kedi, don't worry. As long as this old man says this, the Tiangong will definitely do it. As long as your Wu family doesn't interfere with this matter today, this old man's words will definitely count. Wu Kedi turned to look at Wu Lai and signaled with his eyes that he wanted to hear Wu Lai's suggestion. Seeing this, Wu Lai only shook his head slightly, then nodded. Seeing Wu Lai's action, Wu Kedi was stunned for a moment before immediately understanding Wu Lai's idea. Wu Kedi turned to Shui Lingzi and said in a deep voice, okay, we won't interfere today. Speaking of this, Wu Kedi paused for a moment before continuing, even if we don't interfere today, it shouldn't be a problem for us to stay and watch. Hearing Wu Kedi's words, Shui Lingzi was overjoyed. She quickly waved her hand and said, it doesn't matter. As long as the Wu family doesn't interfere, you can stay here for as long as you want. Hearing Shui Lingzi's words, Wu Kedi silently nodded and began to treat Wu Ketien's injuries. Seeing that Wu Kedi really didn't care about this matter, Shui Lingzi was overjoyed. Although there were many people present, he was only worried about the people from the Wu family. Although there weren't many people from the Wu clan, all of them were experts. Especially Wu Lai, who was extremely skilled in martial arts. Water Spirit guessed that even if she and Fire Spirit worked together, they wouldn't be Wu Lai's match. Now that the Wu clan had agreed to stay out of this matter, it meant that only the Shadowless clan and the Godly Blade sect were left. Shadowless movement technique was very high, but Shui Lingzi was not afraid of his strength. Although Shadowless background was very big, but that was a matter for the future. As long as this plan was successful, even the power behind Shadowless would become a guest of the Tiangongmen. At that time, a small Shadowless wouldn't even enter Shui Lingzi's eyes. Only the Godly Saber sect was left. Although the Godly Blade sect was strong, Shui Lingzi didn't believe that the Godly Blade sect was willing to fall out with the Tiangongmen. The Tiangongmen and the Godly Blade sect were both from the south region. The equipment used by the Godly Blade sect was naturally made by the Tiangongmen. If the Godly Blade sect offended the Tiangongmen because of this matter, then it wouldn't be easy for the Godly Blade sect to get any equipment in the future. This was something that Shui Lingzi was very confident about. The Sky Sword sect and the Godly Blade sect had been enemies for generations. They both wanted to be the number one in the south region. But after so many years, the Godly Blade sect had always been at a disadvantage while the Sky Sword sect became the number one in the south region. It was also because of this reason that Shui Lingzi didn't believe that the Godly Blade sect wanted to make the Tiangongmen their enemy. Thinking of this, Shui Lingzi turned to Shadowless and cupped her fists with a smile. "Brother Shadowless, it was a misunderstanding just now. No matter what, we are all friends. Don't you think it's not worth it to ruin our friendship for a mere Kikyaromen?" Shadowless heard this and subconsciously looked at Wu Kedi before nodding. "It is indeed not worth it." Hearing this, Shui Lingzi was overjoyed and hurriedly continued to persuade, "Our Heaven's Craftsman Gate has a lot of dealings with you. As long as Brother Shadowless agrees, you can ignore the matter between us and the Seven Possibilities sect. In the future, if Brother Shadowless has any problems, just tell me and I, Shui Lingzi, will do my best to solve them for you." "Brother Shadowless, what do you think of this matter?" Hearing Shui Lingzi's words, Shadowless nodded. "That makes sense and it's not hard to do. As long as I don't care about the matters here, we will be good friends, right?" Shui Lingzi immediately laughed. "That's right, as long as Brother Shadowless doesn't care about the matters here, we will be best friends. When you are in trouble in the future, I will not stand by and do my best to help you." Hearing Shui Lingzi's words, the expressionless Shadowless smiled. "That's right, we are all from the south region, of course we should help each other." Hearing Shadowless' answer, Shui Lingzi was even happier and cupped her fists. "In that case, I will represent the Tiangongmen in thanking Brother Shadowless. If Brother Shadowless has any problems in the future, we Tiangongmen will definitely be Brother Shadowless good friends." After saying this, Shui Lingzi looked at Shadowless expectantly. As long as Shadowless nodded, all of this would be perfectly resolved. Shadowless suddenly sighed. "Shui Lingzi, since we are good friends, I have something to say." Shui Lingzi saw Shadowless' expressionless face and was shocked. She quickly asked, "Brother Shadowless, if you have something to say, just say it. Is there anything that can't be said between us brothers?" Hearing Shui Lingzi's words, Shadowless nodded. "In that case, I'll say it." Shadowless paused for a moment before continuing. "I remember that when you became friends with the Wu family, you only promised to give them 2 level 20 equipment. Then, if you have any good equipment in the future, you will sell it to them at a low price." "Shui Lingzi, I remember correctly, you did say that just now." Hearing Shadowless' words, cold sweat began to appear on Shui Lingzi's forehead. Shadowless was right. In order to stop the Wu family from meddling in other people's business, he did promise Wu Ku Di to give them 2 level 20 equipment and sell them high-level equipment at a low price in the future. At that time, he only agreed to this condition to appease the Wu family. One had to know that it wasn't easy to make a piece of equipment that could resist level 20 attacks. Chapter 446. In order to make a piece of equipment that could withstand a level 20 attack, the materials needed to make the equipment had to be top quality. If you used normal materials to make a piece of equipment with amazing defense, it was basically impossible. If you wanted to make a piece of equipment that could withstand a level 20 attack, just the materials alone would be a huge expense. Not only that, some materials couldn't be bought just because you had money. Otherwise, why would there be so many rich people in the South region but so few high-level equipment? The main reason was that the materials for making equipment were too hard to come by. In order to appease the Wu family, Shui Lingzi had no choice but to agree to their conditions. When she agreed, she also felt helpless. This was because the materials for making equipment were too hard to come by. Even for Tiangongmen, it would take a lot of effort to make 2 pieces of equipment that could withstand a level 20 attack. Seeing Shadowless mention this matter again, Shui Lingzi understood. Shadowless was envious. Seeing the Heaven's Craftsman Gate give the Wu clan 2 pieces of level 20 equipment, he also wanted 2 pieces of level 20 equipment. Seeing Shui Lingzi standing there with a pale face and not saying anything, Shadowless suddenly sneered, "Shui Lingzi, could it be that the friends you speak of are divided into ranks? If you meet a capable friend, you pay a bit more. If you meet an incapable friend, you just fool them. Is this how Tiangongmen make friends?" Hearing Shadowless' words, Shui Lingzi's face became even uglier. She forced a smile and said, "Brother Shadowless, don't misunderstand. We Tiangongmen make friends, so of course we treat everyone equally. How could there be ranks?" Hearing Shui Lingzi's words, Shadowless seemed to be relieved. He let out a sigh of relief and a smile returned to his face. "So that's how it is. It seems that I misunderstood you." Shadowless paused for a bit before continuing. "So, Shui Lingzi, you also agreed to my 2 pieces of level 20 equipment." Hearing Shadowless' words, Shui Lingzi stared at him dumbfoundedly. She couldn't say anything for a while. After a while, she stuttered. That, Brother Shadowless, 2 pieces of level 20 equipment, it seems that I really can't." "What?" Before Shui Lingzi could finish, Shadowless interrupted her. "Shui Lingzi, what do you mean? Didn't you just say that Tiangongmen don't discriminate when it comes to making friends? How come you changed your mind in the blink of an eye?" Speaking up to here, Shadowless suddenly looked at Water Spirit and angrily said, "Water Spirit, could it be that you're looking down on me and think that I'm not strong enough to deserve your 2 level 20 equipment?" Seeing Shadowless suddenly become angry, Shui Lingzi hurriedly waved her hand and said, "No, Brother Shadowless, you misunderstood. I didn't mean that." Speaking up to here, Water Spirit paused for a moment to think about how to explain this matter. Then she continued, "Brother Shadowless, it's not that I'm looking down on you, but to make a piece of equipment that can withstand a level 20 attack really isn't an easy task. No matter how big the Heaven's Craftsman faction is, it's probably not an easy task to craft so many level 20 equipment." Speaking up to here, Shui Lingzi hurriedly cupped her fists towards Shadowless and continued, "Brother Shadowless, the matter of equipment is really difficult. If Brother Shadowless is willing, I can make the decision on behalf of the Tiangongmen and give you 2 level 10 equipment. What do you think?" Hearing Shui Lingzi's words, Shadowless suddenly took 2 steps forward and said coldly, "Shui Lingzi, do I look like a beggar to you?" Hearing this, Shui Lingzi hurriedly waved her hand and said with a smile, "Brother Shadowless, don't joke around. You're handsome and talented, no matter how you look at it, you don't look like a beggar." Hearing Shui Lingzi's reply, Shadowless let out another cold laugh. "Shui Lingzi, since you don't think I look like a beggar, why are you trying to dismiss me like a beggar?" Without waiting for Shui Lingzi to explain, Shadowless interrupted her and said coldly, "If they become friends with the Tiangongmen, they can get 2 level 20 equipment. But if I, Shadowless, become friends with the Tiangongmen, why can I only get 2 level 10 equipment? Tiangongmen do this, aren't they just trying to dismiss beggars?" Hearing Shadowless' words, Shui Lingzi sighed in her heart. Coming here today was truly careless. She thought that not many people would know about this, so only the 2 of them came. Against these Kikyaromen people, Shui Lingzi was sure that she didn't need the 2 of them to act together. As long as she acted alone, she would be able to bring all of the Kikyaromen people back. He thought that since he and Fire Spirit had come together, they had 100% confidence that they could deal with any changes and smoothly bring the 7 Skills sect back. However, he never expected that so many variables would appear out of thin air, and so many experts would appear all of a sudden. She didn't care about the people from the Godly Sword sect, and Shadowless could deal with them. But the people from the Wu family, the 2 of them had no way of dealing with them. In order to dispel the Wu family's thoughts, Shui Lingzi could only agree to Wu Kedi's request and give him 2 level 20 equipment in exchange for the Wu family not participating in this matter. But she never thought that once things started, it wouldn't end well. After giving the Wu family 2 level 20 equipment, Shadowless didn't like it and wanted 2 level 20 equipment as well. Shui Lingzi also wanted to give Shadowless 2 level 20 equipment. Level 20 equipment wasn't like cabbages, there were as many as he wanted. They were all made from precious materials. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that the materials used to make level 20 equipment were a huge expense even for the Tiangongmen. If it was only 2 level 20 equipment, Shui Lingzi could grit her teeth and agree. But in the current situation, Shadowless also wanted 2 level 20 equipment, which put Shui Lingzi in a difficult position. This was because Shui Lingzi knew that once she agreed to Shadowless conditions, the people from the Godly Sword sect wouldn't let go of this opportunity and would definitely ask for 2 level 20 equipment from her. If each of the 3 guilds gave 2 pieces of level 20 equipment, that would be a total of 6 pieces of level 20 equipment. Thinking of this number, Shui Lingzi felt a bit dizzy. Tiangongmen didn't have many precious materials. If she used all of these materials to make equipment and gave it to these 3 people for free, then she wouldn't be able to stay in the Tiangongmen anymore. Thinking of this, Shui Lingzi looked at Shadowless and sighed, "Brother Shadowless, if you want to make a level 20 equipment, the materials needed, whether it's the main material or the padding material, are all very precious. I'm afraid that they are very rare even in the South region." Chapter 447. Water Spirit continued, "If you want to make a level 20 equipment, you need enough materials, and these materials can only be obtained with a certain amount of luck. It's not something that can be bought with money." Speaking up to this point, Water Spirit paused for a moment before continuing, "The 2 pieces of level 20 equipment that we promised the Wu family have almost exhausted all of our resources. Now, Brother Shadowless still wants 2 more pieces of level 20 equipment. My Heaven's Craftsman Gate truly has the heart but is powerless. Brother Shadowless, please forgive us and understand our difficulties." Hearing Water Spirit's explanation, Shadowless sneered, "Water Spirit, I know the value of level 20 equipment, but if someone else gets level 20 equipment and I only get level 10 equipment, the difference is like heaven and earth. If it was you, would you agree?" Hearing Shadowless' question, Shui Lingzi was dazed for a moment and then sighed. Even if it were him, he would never agree to such a thing. Thinking of this, Shui Lingzi sighed, "Brother Shadowless, I won't say anything else. If Brother Shadowless can agree to my condition, I will express my gratitude to you on behalf of the Heaven's Craftsman faction." Shadowless shook his head, "Water Spirit, you're too insincere. You should know the difference between level 20 equipment and level 10 equipment better than me. But you want to use an apology to solve this problem? Don't you think it's funny?" Water Spirit was about to explain, but Fire Spirit suddenly said, "Shadowless, this is already the best we Tiangongmen can do. If you're still not satisfied, then we'll have to fight it out with our fists." Shadowless sneered, "Fire Spirit, you think I'm afraid of you?" Fire Spirit said coldly, "You're not afraid of me, but do you think I'm afraid of you?" Shadowless sighed, "Since you Tiangongmen look down on people so much, then I'll have to be the bad guy." Shadowless paused. He turned around and looked at the night sky. "Fire Spirit, do you think you can defeat us because we don't have enough people?" Shadowless said in a deep voice. "Fire Spirit, do you think you can defeat us because we don't have enough people?" Hearing Shadowless' words, Fire Spirit's heart skipped a beat. He subconsciously looked around and thought, could it be that Shadowless didn't come alone? Water Spirit quickly said, "Brother Shadowless, no matter how many people you have, I think we're friends. It doesn't matter how many people you have." Speaking to this point, Water Spirit laughed, "There's wine and food here. Since so many friends have come, then I'll take care of them." Shadowless shook his head, "No need. My friends don't like to drink, they only like equipment. Do you understand?" Hearing Shadowless' words, Water Spirit's face changed, but it quickly returned to normal. "Brother Shadowless, no need to be so polite. As long as your friends need equipment, then the Tiangongmen will definitely welcome them. You'll do your best to satisfy your friends' needs." Shadowless sneered, "Water Spirit, don't make it sound so nice. Do you think my friends only need your 2 level 10 equipment?" Hearing Shadowless' words, Water Spirit was stunned again. She thought Shadowless came alone, so she didn't put him in her eyes. If Shadowless was alone, Water Spirit believed that she and Fire Spirit could deal with him. However, if Shadowless came with too many people, then the two of them wouldn't be able to deal with him. Thinking to this point, Water Spirit complained in her heart. She thought she could deal with the Wu family with 2 level 20 equipment, but she didn't expect Shadowless to appear. What should she do? Was she going to lose another 2 level 20 equipment? It wasn't that Water Spirit didn't want to give Shadowless 2 level 20 equipment, but she really couldn't afford it. Level 20 equipment wasn't cabbage, so she could take it out whenever she wanted. How long did it take to make a piece of equipment? If it was a simple piece of equipment, then it would take about a day. But if it was a high-level equipment, then a day definitely wasn't enough. Shadowless saw that Water Spirit didn't answer, so he sighed, "Water Spirit, you don't need to be troubled. Even if you don't give us the equipment, I won't purposely cause trouble for you." Hearing Shadowless' words, Water Spirit was surprised and happy. "Really? Brother Shadowless, you really won't interfere in this matter?" Hearing Shui Ling's question, Shadowless shook his head. "I don't like to meddle in other people's business, but there are some things I can't stand and want to meddle in. As long as what you do is acceptable to me, you can rest assured that I won't meddle in your business." Water Spirit hurriedly asked, "If I want to take Kikyaromen's people back, will Brother Shadowless agree?" Shadowless shook his head. "This matter has nothing to do with me. As long as Kikyaromen's people are willing to go back with you, then I won't say anything." Shadowless paused for a bit before continuing, "But if Kikyaromen's people don't want to go back with you and you want to use force, then I'll have to interfere in this matter." Hearing Shadowless' answer, Fire Spirit angrily said, "Aren't you talking nonsense? Of course Kikyaromen won't go back with us, then you'll have to interfere in this matter." Shadowless smiled and waved his hand, "You can't say that. As long as you Tiangongmen do things in the right way, then I don't think Kikyaromen is the same. As long as you think of a way to make them go back with you, then wouldn't this matter be resolved?" After hearing Shadowless' words, Shui Lingzi suddenly turned to Sun Qiao and asked loudly, "Sect Master Sun, you heard what I said just now. I don't have any ill intentions, I just want to ask Sect Master Sun to come back with us to investigate Sect Master Han's matter. Once this matter is over, I will definitely let Sect Master Sun come back. Sect Leader Sun, please agree to come back with us to investigate." Hearing Shui Ling's greeting, Sun Qiao hurriedly shook her head and flatly refused. "No, we really have something we need to do. It's impossible for us to go back and investigate with you. If you have something urgent, you can ask me here or go find Ji Yunfei." Sun Qiao's answer was within her expectations, but Water Spirit was still a bit disappointed. Shadowless already said that as long as Sun Qiao went back with them, he wouldn't interfere in this matter. But from the looks of it, it was almost impossible to get Sun Qiao to go back with them. As long as Sun Qiao didn't go back with them, Shadowless wouldn't just stand by. Chapter 448. Thinking of this, Shui Lingzi looked at Sun Qiao and sighed, "Sect Leader Sun, our Tiangongmen have suffered a great loss this time. If we don't investigate this matter clearly, I'm afraid we won't be able to explain this to Sect Leader and will be punished. I hope Sect Leader Sun can take into account that we're all from the South region and come back with us to investigate this matter." Speaking of this, Shui Lingzi suddenly cupped her fists towards Sun Qiao. "I hope Sect Leader Sun can agree. This old man thanks you." When Sun Qiao saw Shui Lingzi salute her, she quickly jumped to the side and avoided Shui Lingzi's salute. Then she waved her hand and said, "Shui Lingzi, it's not that I don't want to agree, but this matter really has nothing to do with us. Besides, we really do have important matters to attend to, so I ask Senior Shui Lingzi for forgiveness." Shui Lingzi saw that Sun Qiao still didn't agree despite her humble words. She couldn't help but feel a surge of anger in her heart. She fiercely shouted, "Sect Leader Sun, don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Do you want this old man to make you obediently come back with us?" Seeing Shui Lingzi suddenly turn hostile, Sun Qiao was startled. She quickly shook her head and said, "This matter has nothing to do with us. Why should I go back with you?" Speaking of this, Sun Qiao looked around and continued, "There are so many people here today. Even if you want to use force, they won't agree. Hearing Sun Qiao's words, Shui Lingzi woke up from her rage and subconsciously turned to look at Shadowless, only to see Shadowless looking at her with a cold smile. Shui Lingzi, as I said before, as long as sect leader Sun agrees to go back with you, I, Shadowless, won't stop you. However, if you want to force sect leader Sun to go back with you, I'll have to ask. Shui Lingzi turned to look at Shadowless and sighed, Brother Shadowless, if you agree to not interfere in this matter, I can give you a piece of level 20 equipment. What do you think? Shadowless shook his head and turned to look at Wu Kudi. He then faintly said, Shui Lingzi, if it was you, would you agree? Shadowless didn't say anything after hearing that. Knowing that others had obtained 2 pieces of level 20 equipment, while he had only obtained 1 piece of level 20 equipment, no matter how good the equipment was, he was afraid that others would see through it. Seeing that Shui Lingzi didn't answer, Shadowless sneered and said, How about it, even you wouldn't agree, so why do you think I would? After hearing Shadowless' words, Water Spirit suddenly sighed, Brother Shadowless, this isn't a matter of whether I agree or not. It's just that we really can't afford 2 level 20 equipment. Shadowless sneered and said, Water Spirit, it's not that I don't like you, but you Tiangongmen gave others 2 pieces of level 20 equipment and only gave me 1. If this matter were to be known by others, wouldn't I, Shadowless, lose face? How would I be able to walk in Jianghu in the future? If you give each of us a piece of level 20 equipment, I, Shadowless, won't say anything. But you Tiangongmen are so unfair, I can't do anything about it. Hearing Shadowless' words, Shui Lingzi's heart suddenly moved. If each of them was only given 1 piece of level 20 equipment, then wouldn't it be the best of both worlds? Although she knew that this matter wasn't very likely, but no matter what, she still had to try. If the Wu family agreed, then wouldn't it mean that the Tiangongmen only needed to give 2 pieces of level 20 equipment to solve the problem between the 2 families? Thinking up to here, Shui Lingzi felt her face turn red. It was indeed a little inappropriate to take back something that he had given to someone else. Thinking up to here, Shui Lingzi quickly walked in front of Wu Kudi and said in a low voice, Brother Wu Kudi, you heard what happened just now. Look, can we just give you 1 piece of equipment? This way, Shadowless won't have anything to say. Hearing Shui Lingzi's words, Wu Kudi turned his head and looked at Shui Lingzi. After a while, he sneered and said, Shui Lingzi, have you ever heard of someone asking for something back after giving it away? Hearing Wu Kudi's words, Shui Lingzi's face suddenly turned red. She quickly waved her hand and said, Brother Wu Kudi, although the Tiangongmen have a lot of businesses, it's very difficult for them to take out 4 pieces of level 20 equipment at once. I hope that Brother Wu Kudi can save the Tiangongmen once because we're all from the South County. In the future, we can still be good friends. Hearing Shui Lingzi's words, Wu Kudi's heart moved. He also admitted that Shui Lingzi's words made sense. If it was before, in order to not offend the Tiangongmen, he would definitely agree to Shui Lingzi's words and reduce his equipment from 2 to 1. The Tiangongmen were the biggest equipment-making sect in the South County. No one wanted to offend the Tiangongmen. It could be said that most of the good equipment in the South County came from the Tiangongmen. For the safety of their disciples, the sects would spend a lot of money to buy equipment from the Tiangongmen every year. Good equipment wasn't available every year, nor could it be bought with a lot of money. When a piece of good equipment came out, there would always be a lot of sects coming to buy it. As for who would be able to buy it, there were 2 ways. The first way was that the Tiangongmen would put the equipment in an auction house, and then everyone would bid fairly. Whoever paid the highest price would get the equipment. Although everyone knew that this was actually the fairest way of doing things, everyone knew that the price of things in the auction house would directly increase by many times due to the competition from many people. But if one had a good relationship with the Tiangongmen, this wouldn't be a problem. As long as the equipment was made, the sects that had a good relationship with the Tiangongmen would immediately know and buy it at a low price. As for who could buy it, it would depend on who had the best relationship with the Tiangongmen. Therefore, no one was willing to offend the Tiangongmen. The Wu family was no exception. They didn't want to offend the Tiangongmen either. The main reason why they came here this time was because they heard about the competition between Kikyaromen and the Tiangongmen. Leather armor that could withstand a level 24 attack. And the material of this leather armor was only the skin of an ordinary wild bear. The miracle of Kikyaromen. If they could obtain Kikyaromen's manufacturing technology, wouldn't they be able to get as many good equipment as they wanted? A leather armor made from the skin of a wild bear could withstand a level 24 attack. If they used better materials, wouldn't that mean that the defense of this leather armor would be even more heaven-defying? With such good equipment, who would still think about the equipment of the Tiangongmen? The Wu family had already investigated in detail. There weren't many people in Kikyaromen, only less than 20 people. Moreover, the people of Kikyaromen were about to leave the South County. They were quite clear about this point. After the Wu family discussed, they finally came to a conclusion, which was to leave Kikyaromen behind. Chapter 449. After some discussion, the Wu family decided to bring back Kikyaromen's people. As long as Kikyaromen's people stayed, with Kikyaromen's crafting skills, they would be able to get any equipment they wanted. Even if level 24 was the peak of their crafting skills, the Wu family would still be very satisfied. In order to obtain Kikyaromen's crafting skills, the Wu family sent 3 experts to bring back Kikyaromen. It was also because of this that Wu Kedi wasn't very tempted by the 2 pieces of level 20 equipment from the Tiangongmen. It could even be said that it wasn't a big deal. However, when he saw that Shui Lingzi wanted to reduce the 2 pieces of equipment to 1, he was a bit angry. This was simply toying with them. Thinking of this, Wu Kedi sneered, "Is this how the Tiangongmen do things? They clearly promised to give us 2 pieces of level 20 equipment, but now they're going back on their word. How long has it been, and now they want to reduce it to 1 piece? Isn't this a bit too disappointing?" Speaking of this, Wu Kedi paused for a bit before continuing. "Can I assume that after this matter is over, the Tiangongmen won't even give us a piece of equipment?" After hearing Wu Kedi's words, Shui Lingzi quickly waved her hand and said, "No, we Tiangongmen won't do such a thing. As long as Brother Wu Kedi agrees to my request, after this matter is over, we'll definitely hand over the equipment." Wu Kedi shook his head. "I suddenly don't trust you guys anymore." Speaking of this, Wu Kedi turned his head to look at Sun Qiaoer and said with a smile, "Sect Master Sun, I think you should have brought a pen and paper. I want to make a written agreement with Shui Lingzi in case the Heavens Craftsman faction tries to act shamelessly." After hearing Wu Kedi's words, Shui Lingzi secretly complained in her heart. If she wrote a contract, then she would really owe the Wu family 2 pieces of equipment. Most importantly, even if Wu clan had done something, the Heavens Craftsman faction would definitely present the 2 pieces of equipment to them with both hands since they had the written agreement. Otherwise, wouldn't it be the Heavens Craftsman faction breaking their promise? Thinking of this, Shui Lingzi hurriedly waved her hand and said with a smile, "Brother Wu Kedi, don't worry about the written agreement. After we solve this matter, our Heavens Craftsman faction will definitely send you the equipment." Hearing Shui Lingzi's reply, Wu Kedi waved his hand. "No, I'm becoming less and less trusting of you. If you go back on your word, then the ones who will suffer losses would be us. It's better to write a contract as soon as possible. That way, everyone will know what to do and not to go back on their words." Seeing that Shui Lingzi is anxious, and Wu's to go back to the Tiangongmen. If he really did, even if the Wu family made a move against him and stopped him from taking away the 7 skills sex members, there was nothing he could do. Once this matter was over, he could only obediently hand over the equipment. Shui Lingzi didn't think that things would turn out like this. Originally, she just wanted the Wu family to reduce 1 piece of equipment, but she didn't think that there would be so many changes. While the two were talking, Sun Qiaoer had already brought a pen and paper and handed it to Wu Kedi. Wu Kedi took the pen and paper from Sun Qiaoer and turned to Shui Lingzi with a smile. "Shui Lingzi, if you want me to rest assured, then hurry up and write a contract." After saying this, Wu Kedi paused for a moment before continuing. "Shui Lingzi, rest assured, as long as you write a contract, I will definitely do as we agreed. I won't go back on my word." Taking the pen and paper from Wu Kedi, Shui Lingzi hesitated for a moment. She definitely wouldn't write a contract, but the key was how to say it. Thinking of this, Shui Lingzi looked up at Wu Kedi and said with a smile, "Brother Wu Kedi, with our relationship, I don't think we need a contract. As long as I promise you, I won't go back on my word. Please rest assured, I will definitely do as I say. After hearing Shui Ling's words, Wu Kedi shook his head. After what you just did, I don't trust you anymore. If you don't write a contract, then the conditions we just agreed on will be invalid. After saying this, Wu Kedi suddenly laughed. Actually, it's better if you don't write a contract. This will also be very beneficial for you. At least you won't have to pay 2 pieces of level 20 equipment, and you will also have something to say to the Tiangongmen. After hearing Wu Kedi's words, Shui Lingzi quickly waved her hand and said, "No, brother Wu Kedi, rest assured, I will definitely give you the equipment I promised. Please rest assured." After hearing this, Wu Kedi pointed at the pen and paper in Shui Lingzi's hand and said with a sneer, "Shui Lingzi, since you want me to rest assured, then hurry up and write a contract. As long as you write a contract, then I will truly be relieved." Shui Lingzi hesitated for a moment before saying, "Brother Wu Kedi, about the contract, can you wait until this matter is over before I write one?" Wu Kedi shook his head. "Is there something different about this? What if after this matter is over, you suddenly forget about this matter and I also forget about this matter? What should we do then? At that time, if you don't admit it, then who can prove it? So, to be safe, you should hurry up and write this contract. Since you have to write it sooner or later, why not write it earlier?" After hearing Wu Kedi's words, Shui Lingzi wiped the cold sweat from her forehead before shaking her head and saying, "Brother Wu Kedi, rest assured, after this matter is over, I definitely won't forget about the contract. When the time comes, I will definitely write it to you." Wu Kedi shook his head. "If you don't write a contract now, then I will be even more worried. 2 level 20 equipment might not be much to you Tiangongmen, but in our Wu family's eyes, it is a rare treasure. If we lose these 2 treasures because of your carelessness, then wouldn't that be too bad?" Shui Lingzi quickly shook her head. "Impossible, even if I forget, others won't forget. They will definitely remind us." Hearing Shui Lingzi's answer, Wu Kedi sneered and looked around. Finally, his eyes stopped on Shadowless and asked with a smile, "Shadowless, after this matter is over, will you remind Shui Lingzi to write a contract with me?" Hearing Wu Kedi's question, Shadowless didn't even hesitate and immediately shook his head, "No." After hearing Shadowless' words, Shui Lingzi's face suddenly became a bit ugly. She was about to speak when Wu Kedi suddenly asked with a cold smile, "Shadowless, why won't you remind Shui Lingzi?" Shadowless heard this and expressionlessly replied, "If the Tiangongmen want to act shamelessly and I kindly remind them, then when the time comes, wouldn't the Tiangongmen hate me? I would be doing bad things with good intentions. So, even if the Tiangongmen forget about the contract, I definitely won't remind them to prevent them from hating me." After hearing Shadowless' answer, Wu Kedi turned to look at Shui Lingzi and said with a cold smile. Chapter 450. Wu Kedi turned to look at Shui Lingzi and sneered, "Shui Lingzi, you heard it. If you really want to forget, then no one will remind you. It doesn't matter if you forget, but wouldn't I have lost my 2 pieces of equipment for nothing?" Wu Kedi paused for a moment before continuing, "Shui Lingzi, I think it's better if you write down the agreement so that you won't go back on your words." Looking at the pen and paper in her hand and hearing Wu Kedi's cold words, Shui Lingzi suddenly became annoyed and said, "Wu Kedi, what if I don't write it down?" Wu Kedi shook his head, "Shui Lingzi, you're thinking too much. Even if you don't write it down, the Tiangongmen and Wu family are still good friend." Hearing Wu Kedi's words, Shui Lingzi was overjoyed. "Really?" Wu Kedi sneered, "Of course it's true. However, we are also good friends with Kikyaromen. I don't care about the grudges between you and Kikyaromen, but if you bully Kikyaromen, then I'll take care of it. Who told us to be good friends? You." Hearing Wu Kedi's words, Shui Lingzi flew into a rage. If what Wu Kedi said was true, then wouldn't he have to take care of this matter? Thinking of this, Shui Lingzi suddenly shouted, "Wu Kedi, don't push your luck. Although your Wu family is powerful, our supervisors aren't to be trifled with. If you don't meddle in this matter, then when we have good equipment, we'll definitely sell it to Wu family first." Saying this, Shui Lingzi suddenly sneered, "Wu Kedi, if you insist on meddling in this matter, then I'll represent the Tiangongmen and announce that we won't sell any equipment to your Wu family in the future." Hearing Shui Lingzi's words, Wu Kedi was shocked. But when he turned to look at Sun Qiao, his heart suddenly calmed down. With Qiqiaomen, Tiangongmen were nothing. If Tiangongmen wanted to take out a piece of level 20 equipment, they would be crying for their parents. However, 7 Possibilities sect was different. A normal wild bear's hide could be used to create a piece of equipment that could resist level 24 attacks. Most importantly, Qiqiaomen only made leather armor. If a piece of leather armor's defense was really that high, then it would be too convenient. Although the defense of the metal armor was very strong, everyone knew very well that no matter how well it was made or how high the grade of the materials used, as long as one wore it, they would still feel uncomfortable. It was as if they had been fixed in place by plaster. Most importantly, an expert was particular about speed and agility. If you wore that kind of metal armor, it would more or less weaken your speed and agility. But if you wear it, then you would to wear it, it would feel like ordinary wear. In the past, most people did not choose leather armor because its defense was too low. Therefore, no one chose leather armor as their main defensive equipment. But now it was different. Qiqiaomen could make a piece of level 24 equipment with just bare skin. If you lose that kind of defense, why would you still need metal armor? Thinking of this, Wu Kedi faintly smiled at Sun Qiao before turning to Shui Lingzi and saying with a sneer, "Shui Lingzi, don't try to scare me. Do you think your Heaven's Craftsman faction can be lawless just because you can forge equipment?" Speaking up to here, Wu Kudi turned to Sun Qiao and nodded slightly, indicating for her to rest assured. Then he turned to Shui Lingzi and said in a loud voice, "We are all people of the South County. If you have something to say, then say it nicely. Why do you have to use force? This old man can't stand it today, so I want to intervene." Hearing Wu Kedi's tough words, Shui Lingzi was stunned. She thought that even if Wu Kedi didn't compromise, he would at least give her some face by bringing up the Heaven's Craftsman Gates equipment. But he never thought that not only would Wu Kedi not give him face, he would even scold him to his face. At this moment, no matter how good Shui Lingzi's self-control was, he couldn't hold it in anymore. He pointed at Wu Kedi and shouted, "Wu Kedi, you ungrateful scoundrel. Pat your conscience and tell me how many pieces of high-quality equipment the Heaven's Craftsman faction has provided you. Why is it that at this moment, not only do you not remember the benefits of the Heaven's Craftsman faction, but you also want to add insult to injury?" Wu Kedi sneered, "Water Spirit, don't make yourself sound so noble. I admit that our Wu clan did get a lot of good equipment from the Heaven's Craftsman faction, but so what? Didn't our Wu clan give you money? Or is it that you Tiangongmen gave us equipment for free?" When Wu Kedi got angry, he took a step forward and said furiously, "Shui Lingzi, our Wu clan and the Heaven's Craftsman faction have been in contact with each other for over 100 years. Tell me, has our Wu clan not paid for any of the equipment we received from your faction?" After hearing Wu Kedi's words, Shui Lingzi was stunned for a moment before saying loudly, "Wu Kedi, don't talk nonsense. Why should our Heaven's Craftsman Gate give your Wu clan equipment for free? Your Wu clan did pay a certain price to obtain the equipment, but don't forget that the equipment made by our Heaven's Craftsman faction also requires a huge amount of capital. The equipment didn't grow on trees. If we didn't sell it for some money, could it be that our Heaven's Craftsman faction, with so many people, would go out to eat every day?" Wu Kedi shook his head, "Shui Lingzi, you don't need to quibble. Although it costs money to make equipment, compared to the price you sell it for, the difference is like heaven and earth. Do you think I don't know that?" Seeing Wu Kedi being so unreasonable, Shui Lingzi angrily said, "No one forced you to buy Tiangongmen equipment. It seems that it was your Wu family who bought it with a thick face. If it wasn't for the friendship between the Wu family and the Tiangongmen, with the money you spent, I'm afraid we wouldn't sell it to you. I didn't think that we would lower the price so low, but you still don't know how to be satisfied. What a greedy guy." Hearing this, Wu Kedi sneered, "Shui Lingzi, don't speak so highly of your Heaven's Craftsman faction. You keep saying that you sold your equipment to our Wu clan at a low price. Pat your conscience and think about it. Is the price you sold to us really low?" Shui Lingzi angrily said, "The price we sold to you is far lower than what we sold at the auction house. Are you still not satisfied? If we sent this equipment to the auction house, I'm afraid we would sell it for a much higher price. After hearing Shui Lingzi's words, Wu Kedi nodded. Shui Lingzi, you're right. The price you sold to us is indeed lower than the highest price you could sell it at the auction house. But think about it, with such a high price, how many people would buy it? Do you really think they would sell it for such a high price? Speaking up to here, Wu Kedi paused for a moment before continuing. If it wasn't for our Wu family, I'm afraid that the equipment you Tiangongmen made would be rotten to the core. Chapter 451. Hearing Wu Kedi say that the equipment made by the Heaven's Craftsman faction was rotten to the core, Shui Lingzi's heart was suddenly filled with anger. He pointed at Wu Kedi and said loudly, "All right, so to speak, your Wu family doesn't want our Heaven's Craftsman faction's equipment anymore. Let's just go our separate ways and stop buying and selling equipment. Your Wu clan can forget about buying another piece of equipment from us. Our Heaven's Craftsman faction will never sell another piece of equipment to your Wu clan." Seeing Shui Lingzi being so ruthless, Wu Kedi was furious. He took a step forward and shouted, "If you don't want to buy, then don't buy. Who cares about your Tiangongmen's equipment? It's heavy and has no defense. It's better for you to keep it for yourself." Although the metal equipment's defense was amazing, it was indeed as Wu Kedi said. It was heavy and heavy. However, it wasn't as weak as Wu Kedi said. Hearing this, Shui Lingzi couldn't take it anymore. She suddenly sent a palm towards Wu Kedi. Wu Kedi wasn't a fool. Seeing that Shui Lingzi's words had reached a stalemate, he was already on guard. Seeing Shui Lingzi's palm coming, he immediately sneered and sent out a palm towards Shui Lingzi. Pa! The palms of the two men collided. Countless amounts of true qi surged out when the two palms collided, flying in all directions. Wu Kedi and Shui Lingzi's martial arts were similar. After the two palms collided, they couldn't take the backlash and were both forced back 3 or 4 steps before stabilizing themselves. As soon as the two stabilized themselves, they waved their palms and were about to rush forward again. However, they were pulled back by Wu Ketian and Fire Spirit. Fire Spirit said in a low voice, "Don't be reckless. The Wu clan still has Wu Lai. We're not their match." Hearing this, Shui Lingzi's furious mood calmed down a little. No matter what the result of the battle between him and Wu Kedi was, he and Fire Spirit would be at a disadvantage. Because the Wu clan had sent Wu Lai. Even if Shui Lingzi and Fire Spirit worked together, they wouldn't be his match. On the other side, Wu Ketian also pulled back Wu Kedi, "Don't fight. We didn't come here to fight." Speaking up to here, Wu Ketian felt a dull pain in his shoulder. His heart was filled with anger again. He lowered his voice and said, "After this matter is over, we'll think of a way to get revenge." After listening to Wu Ketian's words, Wu Kedi nodded, then turned to Shui Lingzi and said with a sneer, "Shui Lingzi, today's matter isn't over, I'll ask for your advice later." After hearing Wu Kedi's words, Shui Lingzi was secretly regretting her decision. She had already made the Wu family promise not to participate in this matter, but she didn't expect that she would pull the Wu family back. The reason he and Fire Spirit came here today was to bring the 7 Skills Sect's people back. Aside from this, nothing else was important. Thinking up to here, Shui Lingzi took a deep breath and calmed the anger in her heart. She cupped her fists towards Wu Kedi and said, "Brother Wu Kedi, there's no hatred between us. Why did we have to fight? I was just being impulsive." Now, speaking up to here, Shui Lingzi paused. She clenched her teeth and said, "Now, I apologize to Brother Wu Kedi. I've offended you before. I hope Brother Wu Kedi doesn't take offense." Seeing Shui Lingzi apologize to him, Wu Kedi was stunned. But after thinking about it, he immediately understood what Shui Lingzi meant. Since he understood Shui Lingzi's meaning, Wu Kedi didn't stand on ceremony and said faintly, "Shui Lingzi, no matter what, you've just said that the Heaven's Craftsman faction will no longer sell any equipment to the Wu clan. I will remember this." After hearing Wu Kedi's words, Shui Lingzi's face suddenly changed. She quickly cupped her fists and said, "Brother Wu Kedi, everyone was just being emotional just now. It was just a quarrel, how could you take it seriously? What's more, the Tiangongmen and the Wu clan have been friends for hundreds of years. How could they cut off their ties because of a disagreement? If that's the case, then wouldn't the two of us become the sinners of the Tiangongmen and the Wu clan? Future generations will forever remember that the two of us destroyed the relationship between the Tiangongmen and the Wu clan. Hearing Shui Ling's words, Wu Kedi nodded in his heart. If it was any other time, he would have used this opportunity to repair the relationship between the two sides. But now it was different. Because of the Kikyaromen matter, everyone had to fight for it. Kikyaromen could make powerful leather armor. If he could get Kikyaromen to join the Wu clan, then he wouldn't need to contact the Tiangongmen in the future. If it wasn't for the Kikyaromen, Wu Kedi wouldn't want to fight with Shui Lingzi. As the saying goes, one more friend means one more path. If he didn't offend the Tiangongmen, then it wasn't a bad thing. But no matter what, Wu Kedi wouldn't allow the Tiangongmen to take away the Kikyaromen people. Because if the Tiangongmen took away the Kikyaromen people, then everything would go back to normal. The Tiangongmen would get Kikyaromen's technology and could use it in the south region. The Wu clan would have to spend more money to buy equipment. Thinking of this, Wu Kedi made a decision. He couldn't let the Tiangongmen take away the Kikyaromen people. If the Kikyaromen wanted to leave today, then it would be with the Wu clan. Shui Lingzi, you're too polite. I was also in the wrong just now. I think we should just let this matter go. Let's not talk about it anymore. Hearing Wu Kedi's suggestion, Shui Lingzi was overjoyed. She quickly said, Brother Wu Kedi, what do you think about the matter we talked about just now? Wu Kedi heard this and shook his head. Shui Lingzi, I forgot what we talked about just now. Can you please remind me? Hearing Wu Kedi say this, Shui Lingzi was angry. But in this situation, she could only swallow her anger. Brother Wu Kedi, as long as you don't interfere with this matter, then everything can be discussed. Wu Kedi rolled his eyes. That's not right. I remember you promised to give us 2 pieces of level 20 equipment. Why aren't you talking about it now? Shui Lingzi heard this and turned to look at Shadowless. Then she looked back at Wu Kedi and said apologetically, Brother Wu Kedi, 2 pieces of level 20 equipment is a bit too much. If Brother Wu Kedi doesn't mind, then 1 piece of level 20 equipment. Shui Lingzi paused for a moment before continuing, if Brother Wu Kedi agrees, then after this matter is over, I will definitely give you the equipment with both hands. Hearing Shui Lingzi's words, Wu Kedi shook his head and sighed, Shui Lingzi, I don't agree to this matter. You promised to give us 2 pieces of equipment, but you only gave us 1. Chapter 452. Wu Kedi sneered, Shui Lingzi, you're looking down on our Wu clan too much. At this point, Wu Kudi turned to Wu Lai and cupped his fists before turning back to Shui Lingzi and saying coldly, Shui Lingzi, I remember that at the beginning, our condition was for the Tiangongmen to give us a piece of level 24 equipment, but you said you didn't have it. Then you said you'd give us 2 pieces of level 20 equipment as compensation. We reluctantly agreed because of the friendship between the Tiangongmen and the Wu clan. However, you went back on your word. You clearly agreed to do something, yet you still want to return. Speaking up to here, Wu Kedi suddenly snapped, Water Spirit, tell me, are you the one who promised us those 2 pieces of level 20 equipment? Hearing Wu Kedi's accusation, Shui Lingzi's face changed. Wu Kedi was right. What happened was exactly as Wu Kedi said. At the beginning, the Wu clan asked for a piece of level 24 equipment, but Shui Lingzi felt that level 24 equipment was too much, so she used 2 pieces of level 20 equipment to exchange for the level 24 equipment. If it wasn't for the fact that Shadowless also asked for 2 pieces of level 20 equipment, Shui Lingzi wouldn't have gone back on her words. If she also agreed to Shadowless 2 pieces of level 20 equipment, then it wouldn't be a small number. Adding on the Wu clan's 2 pieces of level 20 equipment, that would be 4 whole batches of level 20 equipment. Most importantly, there was the Godly Sword sect on the side. The Godly Sword sect was very strong. In the entire South region, other than the Sky Sword sect, there really wasn't anyone who could contend with them. Since the Wu clan and Shadowless both gave 2 pieces of level 20 equipment, then the Godly Sword sect wouldn't be lacking either. 6 pieces of level 20 equipment, this was definitely not a novel. Shui Lingzi's heart couldn't help but tremble just thinking about it. If she changed the Wu clan's 2 pieces of equipment into 1, then the Tiangong men only needed to give 3 pieces of level 20 equipment to get rid of the 3 clans. Thinking of this, Shui Lingzi looked up at Wu Kedi and sincerely said, "Brother Wu Kedi, on account of the 100 years of friendship between the Tiangong men and the Wu family, please agree to this old man's request." Wu Kedi shook his head. "It's not that I don't want to agree, but this matter is the fault of the Tiangong men. If you hadn't agreed to give us 2 pieces of level 20 equipment in the beginning, I wouldn't have anything to say. However, you Tiangong men have already agreed to give us 2 pieces of level 20 equipment, so you must fulfill your promise." At this point, Wu Kedi paused for a moment before continuing, "Unless you Tiangong men look down on us generals, that's why you reduced the things you promised us and didn't care about keeping your promise. Otherwise, with the wealth and resources of the Tiangong men, it shouldn't be that difficult for me to craft a few pieces of level 20 equipment. Moreover, I believe that unless you Tiangong men don't want to keep your promise, you'll definitely be able to fulfill your promise." Hearing Wu Kedi's words, Shui Lingzi sighed. "Brother Wu Kedi, crafting a piece of level 20 equipment is definitely not an easy task. It's not like what you said, where you can craft it just because you want to. Let's not talk about anything else, just the materials required will require a lot of special materials, and some of these special materials can't be bought with money, but with luck and opportunity. Crafting a piece of level 20 equipment is already very difficult, let alone crafting so many pieces of level 20 equipment. This is even more impossible. Brother Wu Kedi, please understand our Heaven's Craftsman faction's difficulties. It's not that we don't want to fulfill our promise, but it's indeed very difficult." As soon as Shui Lingzi finished speaking, Shadowless, who had been silent all this time, suddenly opened his mouth. "Shui Lingzi, I remember you saying that the Tiangong men have a lot of resources and don't lack these things. Why are you crying about being poor now?" Shadowless turned his head to look at Wu Kedi and sneered. "Why do I feel like I've been cheated?" Hearing Shadowless' words, Wu Kedi's heart shook. He turned his head to look at Shui Lingzi and sneered. "Shui Lingzi, when you said that, I seem to have heard it as well." After hearing the two's words, Shui Lingzi was secretly regretting her words. When she said those words, she wanted to intimidate everyone. She didn't think that in the blink of an eye, she would taste the consequences of her words. Shui Lingzi wiped the cold sweat from her forehead and said softly, "That was a slip of the tongue, it wasn't the truth. I hope you two don't take offense." Hearing Shui Lingzi's answer, Wu Kedi sneered. "Shui Lingzi, whether or not you made a slip of the tongue has nothing to do with me. I just want to know, what do you want from me for the 2 level 20 equipment you promised me?" Hearing Wu Kedi's words, Shui Lingzi couldn't help but frown. The 2 people in front of her weren't easy to deal with. If she didn't deal with them properly, there was no need to talk about bringing the Kikyaromen people back. It would already be a good thing if the 2 of them could escape unscathed. If the forces in front of them attacked the 2 brothers together, Shui Spirit was sure that the 2 brothers would be beaten up miserably. Thinking of this, Shui Lingzi secretly regretted her decision. If she wasn't so arrogant and brought more people with her, this problem wouldn't have occurred. However, since the problem had already occurred, she had to find a way to solve it. Otherwise, if they didn't bring the Kikyaromen people back and were beaten back by these people, then the 2 of them would lose a lot of face. Thinking up to here, Shui Lingzi once again cupped her fists towards Wu Kedi and sincerely said, "Brother Wu Kedi, as you can see, if I give the Wu clan 2 pieces of level 20 equipment, then Shadowless will also ask for 2 pieces of level 20 equipment from me. Not only that, even the Godly Sword sect won't let us off and will definitely ask for 2 pieces of level 20 equipment from us. If we calculate it this way, then the Tiangong men would have to pay 6 level 20 equipment." Speaking up to here, Water Spirit suddenly sighed and said somewhat sadly, "Although the Heaven's Craftsman Gate is rich and powerful, it's impossible for them to take out 6 pieces of level 20 equipment at once. If we take out 3 level 20 equipment, then the Tiangong men might be able to forge it with all their strength, but if it's 6 level 20 equipment, then it's really impossible. Brother Wu Kedi, I hope that you can understand the difficulties of the Tiangong men and forgive them whenever possible. Us Tiangong men and the Wu clan will still be good friends in the future, so please don't hurt our friendship." After hearing Shui Spirit's words, Wu Kudi sneered, "Shui Spirit, Your purpose in making such a big speech is nothing more than to reduce the amount of equipment you're giving us. However, you keep thinking about the Tiangongmen and forget about our Wu clan's face. Chapter 453. Wu Kedi sneered, the Tiangongmen want face, but do you think our Wu clan doesn't want face? You, water spirit, can be considered a consecrator of the Tiangongmen. You promised us 2 pieces of level 20 equipment, but you went back on your word and wanted to use one to get rid of us. Speaking up to here, Wu Kudi paused for a moment before turning to Shui Lingzi and angrily saying, Shui Lingzi, what kind of people do you think our Wu family is? Beggars. Do you think we should greet you with a smile no matter how much you give out? Water spirit wiped the cold sweat off her forehead and said apologetically, Brother Wu Kedi, I really have no other choice. This old man already said that if we give the Wu clan 2 pieces of level 20 equipment, then the Shadowless Brothers and the Godly Sword Sect will also have to give 2 pieces of level 20 equipment. If we calculate it like this, then we Tiangongmen really can't afford it. Hearing Water Spirit's words, Wu Kedi sneered, whether you can afford it or not, that's your Tiangongmen's business. I, Wu Kedi, only think that since you Tiangongmen promised to give us 2 pieces of level 20 equipment, then you have to fulfill your promise. Otherwise, it would be disrespectful to our Wu clan and looking down on our Wu clan. Hearing Wu Kedi's words, before Water Spirit could reply, Shadowless let out a cold laugh. Wu Kedi, don't listen to Water Spirit's nonsense. How could the mighty Tiangongmen not be able to take out 6 pieces of level 20 equipment? Shadowless paused for a bit, then continued in a more serious tone, unless Water Spirit's purpose in saying this is to trick us, otherwise, they would definitely be able to take out 6 pieces of level 20 equipment. Wu Kedi, don't be fooled by him. Water Spirit turned to look at Shadowless and said angrily, Shadowless, how have I, Water Spirit, wronged you to let you slander the Tiangongmen like this? After Shui Lingzi spoke up to hear, she took a few deep breaths to calm down her irritable mood before continuing. Shadowless, level 20 equipment is no ordinary equipment. I believe that no matter which sect it would require a large amount of manpower and resources. I've said it before, even for Tiangongmen, it's not an easy task to make so many pieces of equipment. That's why I'm begging you guys to make an exception and reduce the amount by 1. I'm not saying that I won't give it to you. Brother Shadowless, why do you have to be so overbearing? Hearing Shui Ling's words, Shadowless clapped his hands, since you're sincere, then let's follow Wu Kedi's instructions and make a written agreement to show your sincerity. Otherwise, if you deny it in the future and there are no witnesses, then wouldn't all of our efforts be for nothing? Shui Lingzi quickly waved her hand and solemnly said, Brother Wu Ying, you can rest assured that as long as I, Shui Lingzi, promise you, I will never go back on my word. As for the written agreement, I think we should forget about it. We're all people with reputations, so how could we fall out over a few pieces of equipment? If this were to spread out, then it wouldn't be good for us. After hearing Shui Ling's words, Wu Kedi shook his head and coldly said, Shui Lingzi, if it was at the beginning, then I would have believed you, but now that I see you going back on your word, I really can't believe you anymore. So please forgive me. If you want us to agree to your conditions, then we must make a written agreement. Otherwise, we won't have any proof. If you don't have to keep your promise, then I won't have to keep my promise either. Everyone will do their own things. Speaking up to hear, Wu Kedi's tone paused. He turned to Shui Lingzi and coldly said, Shui Lingzi, how about this? None of us need to keep our promises. Just like at the beginning, you do your own thing and we, if we see something unfair, we will do our own thing. When the time comes, I hope you won't be angry because it was you who didn't keep your promise first, not us. After hearing Wu Kedi's words, Shui Lingzi simply went crazy with anger. He didn't think that a dignified expert of the Wu family would speak like a child. Everyone doesn't need to keep their promises. Why would the Tiangongmen give them equipment? Wasn't the purpose of giving them equipment to make them shut their mouths? However, although Shui Lingzi was extremely angry, he could only suppress his anger and calmly said, Brother Wu Kedi, there's no need to make a scene like this. I just said that everyone here has status in the South County. As long as the words have been spoken, how could we go back on our words? As for the written agreement, I think we should forget about it. Don't tell me you don't trust me. Wu Kedi stared at Shui Lingzi and coldly said, "We're all people with status in the South County, how could you say something like this? Who was the one who agreed to give us 2 pieces of level 20 equipment? Shui Lingzi, how long has it been and you want to go back on your word and reduce the 2 pieces of level 20 equipment to 1? How can you make us believe your actions?" Speaking to here, Wu Kedi paused for a moment before continuing, "I think you should make a written agreement to make us feel at ease. Otherwise, with your character, I won't feel at ease." After hearing Wu Kedi's words, Fire Spirit couldn't hold it in anymore. He took a step forward and shouted, "Wu Kedi, don't speak nonsense. Wu Kedi, don't talk nonsense. Even if you don't trust us, we don't trust you. What if you don't abide by our written agreement? Wouldn't we have given you our equipment for nothing? HMPH, in your dreams. Do you think we Tiangongmen are idiots? Don't even think about it." Hearing the Fire Spirit's roar, Wu Kedi naturally wouldn't be outdone. He pointed at the Fire Spirit and said angrily, "Fire Spirit, I've long seen through it. Your Heaven's Craftsman faction is deceiving us. You want to deceive us without any evidence and then use the lack of a written agreement to deny this debt." Fire Spirit shouted, "Wu Kedi, do you think we Tiangongmen are like your Wu family? Do you think you can go back on your word?" Speaking to here, Fire Spirit suddenly sneered, "I think only the Wu family can do something like this." Hearing Fire Spirit's words, Wu Kedi couldn't hold it in anymore. He took a step forward and threw a punch at Fire Spirit. Fire Spirit was already prepared for Wu Kedi's sudden attack, so seeing Wu Kedi attack was within his expectations. Fire Spirit sneered and moved his body slightly to the side, dodging Wu Kedi's attack. Then, he threw a kick at Wu Kedi. Wu Kedi naturally didn't back down. He immediately lifted a leg and blocked Fire Spirit's attack. Then, he threw another punch at Fire Spirit. Fire Spirit swung his fist to block Wu Kedi's attack. Then, he threw his other fist at Wu Kedi. Wu Kedi roared. Chapter 454. Seeing Fire Spirit's ferocious attacks, Wu Kudi roared and suddenly jumped to Fire Spirit's side. He punched out with both fists towards Fire Spirit's ribs. Fire Spirit quickly retreated a few steps and punched out with both fists like lightning, smashing into Wu Kudi's fists. When the 2 fists collided, they were immediately pushed back a few steps by the powerful recoil. Fire Spirit waved his fists and was about to rush up again, but he was stopped by Water Spirit. Water Spirit stopped Fire Spirit and quickly cupped her fists towards Wu Kudi. "Brother Wu Kudi, there's no need to fight. As long as we talk things out, isn't that better than anything else?" Hearing Water Spirit's words, Wu Kudi pointed at Fire Spirit and angrily said, "Fire Spirit, don't think that I'm afraid of you. After this is over, I'll teach you a lesson." Fire Spirit heard this and was about to retort, but was pulled back by Water Spirit. He could only helplessly snort and retreat to the side. Seeing that the 2 couldn't fight anymore, Water Spirit slowly walked in front of Wu Kudi and said softly, "Brother Wu Kudi, our disagreement is only about the amount of equipment. If Brother Wu Kudi can agree to this old man's conditions, then the Tiangongmen's equipment will be given to the Wu family first. Brother Wu Kudi, what do you think?" Hearing Water Spirit's words, Wu Kudi's eyes lit up, but after a while, he reacted. Although Water Spirit's conditions sounded very good, in reality, it wasn't that good. Although the Tiangongmen's equipment was good, any equipment could be tested and not used. If the Tiangongmen's equipment was suitable for the Wu family, then the Wu family would definitely buy it. However, if it wasn't for a general, then the Wu family naturally wouldn't participate in the buying and selling of the equipment. This meant that even if the Tiangongmen had to report to the Wu family for every piece of equipment they made, it wouldn't be of much use. Some of the equipment were very expensive, and even the Wu family would have to think carefully before buying them. So, although Water Spirit's conditions seemed good, it really wasn't that useful. Thinking to here, Wu Kudi couldn't help but sneer. Water Spirit was very cunning and wanted to use this to trick him. What a joke! While Wu Kudi was hesitating, Water Spirit was staring at him nervously. If Wu Kudi could agree to this condition, then this matter would be much easier. After the Tiangongmen made equipment, They would think of ways to notify the entire South region. Because the equipment made by the Tiangongmen were not for their own use. They were for their own use. They were to sell them for money. The reason why the Heavens Craftsman sect informed everyone in the South County was naturally to let everyone participate in the purchase of equipment. The Wu family was a large family in the South region. Not only did Water Spirit not mention this condition, but the Heavens Craftsman sect would also tell the Wu family about every piece of equipment they produced. Their goal was to have the Wu family prepare money as soon as possible to buy equipment. Therefore, this condition of Shui Lingzi's couldn't be any more ridiculous than this. Wu Kudai also understood this point and sneered, "Water Spirit, you're too smart. You don't want to pay anything and only think about scamming people." Speaking to here, Wu Kudai paused for a moment before continuing, "Water Spirit, I don't need to report this first. I just want to know if you're going to write the contract for the 2 level 20 equipment or not." Seeing Wu Kedi think of her little trick so quickly, Shui Lingzi could only secretly sigh. Then she smiled and said, "Brother Wu Kedi, what are you saying? Don't you know what kind of person Shui Lingzi, Also, why would I lie to you?" At this point, Shui Lingzi's tone paused for a moment. Taking advantage of this pause, Shui Lingzi quickly thought of a countermeasure and continued. "Brother Wu Kudai, you misunderstood. What I meant by telling Wu Kudai first isn't what you think. When we Tiangongmen forge superior equipment, we will first notify Wu Kudai. If Wu Kudai wants to buy it, then we won't notify other families. If Wu Kudai doesn't need it, then we'll notify other families." Speaking up to here, Shui Lingzi looked up at Wu Kedi and said with a smile, "Brother Wu Kedi, I'm being very sincere in saying this." Hearing Shui Spirit's words, Wu Kudai's feeling of being deceived weakened slightly, but he still couldn't feel relieved. Shui Spirit was an extremely cunning person. As long as he wasn't careful, he could easily be deceived. Wu Kudai thought about this problem and slowly nodded, "You didn't lie to me this time." This can be considered the sincerity of Yu Tiangongmen. However, the 2 level 20 equipment can't be missing. Otherwise, our agreement will be voided. Hearing Wu Kudai's answer, Water Spirit was stunned for a moment before anger surged from the bottom of her heart. She said this preferential condition because she wanted to reduce that piece of equipment. However, listening to Wu Kudai's words, even with such a preferential condition, she still couldn't reduce that piece of equipment. How could this be? Thinking to here, Water Spirit hurriedly said, "Brother Wu Kudai, we already agreed that my condition was to reduce that piece of equipment. Did you forget?" Wu Kudai shook his head and lightly said, "Since it's like this, then we don't want this discount. Just give us 2 level 20 equipment." Hearing Wu Kudai's words, Water Spirit angrily pointed at Wu Kudai and angrily said, "Wu Kudai, isn't this condition good enough? The Tiangongmen have already made such a big concession. Why are you still being so aggressive?" Hearing Water Spirit's question, Wu Kudai shook his head. "The discounts you mentioned are things for the future. I, Wu Kudai, am inexperienced and can only see what's in front of me. Between 2 level 20 equipment and those discounts, I can only choose 2 level 20 equipment. Please forgive me." Water Spirit stared at Wu Kudai and asked in a deep voice, "Brother Wu Kudai, don't tell me you don't want to think about it." Wu Kudai shook his head, "There's no need to think about it. I still want 2 level 20 equipment. I feel that this is more reliable." Hearing Wu Kudai's firm answer, Water Spirit took a deep breath and suppressed the anger in her heart. Then she loudly said, "Brother Wu Kudai, 2 level 20 equipment is indeed a bit too much. How about this, 1 level 20 equipment and 2 level 10 equipment? That should be enough, right?" Hearing Water Spirit's new condition, Wu Kudai pondered for a moment before shaking his head and resolutely said, "I don't agree." Chapter 455. Hearing Wu Kedi's answer, Water Spirit asked in a deep voice, "Why?" Wu Kedi sneered, "Water Spirit, do you think that 2 pieces of level 10 equipment can be compared to 1 piece of level 20 equipment?" Speaking up to here, Wu Kedi paused for a moment before continuing, "Shui Lingzi, do you think I'm stupid and can't figure this out?" This time, before Water Spirit could reply, Shadowless spoke first. Water Spirit, if possible, I would also like to use 2 pieces of level 10 equipment to exchange for 1 piece of level 20 equipment from you. Would you agree to that? Hearing Shadowless words, Wu Kedi also said loudly, yes, me too. I also want to use 2 pieces of level 10 equipment to exchange for 1 piece of level 20 equipment. Water Spirit, let's exchange. After hearing the two's words, Water Spirit's face became very ugly. After a while, she turned to Wu Kedi and said, Wu Kedi, since you don't agree, then I'll use 3 pieces of level 10 equipment to exchange for 1 piece of level 20 equipment. Is that okay? This time, without waiting for Wu Kedi's answer, Shadowless sneered again, Water Spirit, then I'll also use 3 pieces of level 10 equipment to exchange for 1 piece of level 20 equipment. Wu Kedi looked at Water Spirit and said indifferently, Water Spirit, you heard it. 3 pieces of level 10 equipment and 1 piece of level 20 equipment are not comparable. Water Spirit naturally understood what Wu Kedi and Shadowless were talking about. When it came to the level of equipment, it wasn't a simple math. According to math, 2 pieces of level 10 equipment added together were equal to 1 piece of level 20 equipment. But in terms of equipment levels, it was far from that simple. If one wanted to craft high-level equipment, the difficulty would increase exponentially with every increase in level. If one were to compare based on the value of the equipment, if one were to take out a piece of level 20 equipment, no matter how many pieces of level 10 equipment you took out, no one would exchange with you. A piece of level 20 equipment could withstand a level 20 attack, but a piece of level 10 equipment could only withstand a level 10 attack. Even if you had 10 pieces of level 10 equipment, they would still not be able to withstand a level 20 attack. Moreover, you could wear a piece of level 20 equipment, but you couldn't wear more than 10 pieces of level 10 equipment. Therefore, everyone would use level 20 equipment to exchange for level 10 equipment, no matter how many there were. Water Spirit looked at Wu Kedi and was silent for a while. Then, she suddenly stretched out her hand and said loudly, Brother Wu Kedi, the Tiangongmen and Wu family have a good relationship for generations. I think that we shouldn't fall out in our generation. I hope that you can understand the difficulties of the Tiangongmen. I'll give you 5 pieces of level 10 equipment to exchange for that piece of level 20 equipment. If Brother Wu agrees, then we can still be good friends. After hearing Water Spirit's words, Wu Kedi knew that he should stop before going too far, but his goal was still the 2 pieces of level 20 equipment. He didn't know if Kikyaromen's matter was true or not, but these 2 pieces of level 20 equipment, as long as Water Spirit agreed, then he definitely had a way to get them. This was the most practical thing. The Wu family was not the Tiangongmen. All of their equipment was bought with money. Now that there was such a good opportunity, how could Wu Kedi let it go? Thinking up to here, Wu Kedi didn't look at the pale-faced Water Spirit. He turned to Shadowless and asked with a smile, Brother Shadowless, if it was you, would you use 5 pieces of level 10 equipment to exchange for that piece of level 20 equipment? Hearing Wu Kedi's question, Shadowless didn't hesitate and shook his head, no, 5 pieces of level 10 equipment can't be compared to a piece of level 20 equipment. If it was me, then I definitely wouldn't exchange. Hearing Shadowless answer, Wu Kedi nodded and turned to look at Water Spirit. He smiled and said, Water Spirit, you heard it too. 5 pieces of level 10 equipment can't be compared to a piece of level 20 equipment. If we exchange like this, then we'll be at a disadvantage. Hearing Wu Kedi's words, Water Spirit only felt that it was grating. All of the equipment here belonged to the Tiangongmen. Wu Kedi saying that he was at a disadvantage, wasn't this ridiculous? Thinking up to here, a sense of powerlessness rose in Water Spirit's heart. A dignified consecrated of the Tiangongmen was forced to this extent. It was ridiculous. She gave them equipment, but these people were still being picky. It was unreasonable. If it was in normal times, no matter what kind of equipment the Tiangongmen gave others, they would be flattered. But now, not only were these people not grateful to the Tiangongmen, they were even complaining. Thinking up to here, Water Spirit just wanted to grab all of these people and beat them up. Then she would see if they still had a conscience. The Heavens Craftsman faction didn't know how to conjure magic either. Every piece of equipment could only be forged with capital. If she really had to give these 3 people 6 pieces of level 20 equipment, Water Spirit would feel dizzy just thinking about it. Deep sea cold iron and carefully crafted equipment could resist attacks of level 10. If she wanted to craft level 20 equipment, then she would need even rarer materials. Deep sea cold iron and gold essence were already expensive, not to mention materials that could craft level 20 equipment. The price made Water Spirit's heart ache just thinking about it. Even so, these 3 greedy people in front of her still weren't satisfied. But even if Water Spirit was about to explode in anger, she knew that at this time, she could only endure. As long as these 3 people were dealt with, then she could make a move on Kikyaromen. Kikyaromen could use the skin of a wild bear to make armor that could resist level 24 attacks. This was something that Water Spirit had heard, but she didn't see it with her own eyes. If all of this was true, then even if she had to pay 6 pieces of level 20 equipment, it would be worth it. However, Shui Lingzi was very clear that the possibility of this being true was very small. According to Water Spirit's estimation, Kikyaromen most likely used some kind of secret method to temporarily increase the defense of the wild bear's skin to a terrifying level. If one wanted to use the skin of a wild bear to make a leather armor with such powerful defensive capabilities, it would be impossible. Water Spirit was just trying her luck. If Kikyaromen could make such a powerful armor, then the Tiangongmen would make a big profit. But if Kikyaromen only used some kind of secret method to temporarily increase the defense of the wild bear's skin, then it wouldn't be of much use. There were many things that could increase defense. For example, the Tiangongmen's spirit water was a very heaven-defying item. The reason why the spiritual water was said to be a heaven-defying item was because the increase in defense by the spiritual water was permanent and would not change due to the passage of time. Chapter 456. This was a test of luck. If Kikyaromen could really make such a high defense armor, then even if the Tiangongmen had to pay 6 pieces of level 20 equipment, it would be worth it. If all of this was fake, then the Tiangongmen would suffer a huge loss. Thinking of this, Water Spirit couldn't make up her mind. If she succeeded, then she would become the hero of the Tiangongmen. But if she failed, then she wouldn't be able to stay in the Tiangongmen anymore. Looking at her fluttering white beard, Water Spirit couldn't help but hesitate. If she failed, then she would be doomed eternally. Seeing that Water Spirit wasn't willing to say anything, Shadowless suddenly sneered, "Water Spirit, it seems like you don't have much sincerity. It's just 2 pieces of level 20 equipment and you don't even want to give it to us. How about you don't even take out a single piece? Wouldn't that be more economical?" Shadowless words woke up Water Spirit from her thoughts. Water Spirit looked up at Shadowless, then turned to Wu Kedi and suddenly said, "Brother Wu Kedi, just for a promise, the Tiangongmen have to pay each person 2 pieces of level 20 equipment. Do you think it's worth it?" Hearing Water Spirit's question, Wu Kedi froze for a moment, then shook his head and sneered, "Not worth it. I think we should just forget about this matter. Just like Brother Shadowless said, we didn't make a promise. The Tiangongmen would also save 6 pieces of level 20 equipment. Wouldn't that be better?" Hearing Wu Kedi's answer, Water Spirit sighed, "If the Tiangongmen save these 6 pieces of level 20 equipment, what would happen to me?" Wu Kedi sneered, "Nothing would happen. It would be the same as now. Everyone can do whatever they want and say whatever they want. Wouldn't that be better?" Hearing Wu Kedi's answer, Water Spirit clenched her teeth in anger, but there was nothing she could do. No matter how high her and Fire Spirit's martial arts were, it was impossible for them to deal with so many people. If they forced themselves to fight, not only would they be beaten up badly, they would also become a joke in the Jianghu. Thinking of this, Shui Lingzi sighed. She looked up at Wu Kedi and sincerely said, "Brother Wu Kedi, the Heavens Craftsman Gate and the Wu family have been friends for so many years. In consideration of this friendship, I'll use 2 pieces of level 15 equipment to replace that level 20 equipment. What do you think?" Hearing Water Spirit's words, Wu Kedi didn't hesitate and shook his head. "Water Spirit, you want to use 2 pieces of level 15 equipment for level 20 equipment? They don't seem to be equal. If it was you, would you agree?" Water Spirit bitterly smiled and shook her head, "No, but I ask for Brother Wu Kedi's understanding. The Tiangongmen really can't take out so much level 20 equipment. If Brother Wu Kedi agrees, I'll make up for Brother Wu Kedi's loss in the future. Hearing Shui Lingzi's words, Wu Kudi nodded and said, Shui Lingzi, I'll say the ugly words first, it's better for you and me to make things clear. Now, let me ask you, how do you plan on compensating my Wu family? Water Spirit thought for a bit before asking, if Brother Wu Kedi isn't satisfied with my conditions, then tell me, what should we do to satisfy your conditions? Hearing Water Spirit's words, Wu Kedi smiled and nodded. Water Spirit, since you want me to say it, then I'll say it. Water Spirit nodded. Brother Wu Kedi, as long as we Tiangongmen can do it, we'll definitely do it for you. Hearing Water Spirit's answer, Wu Kedi nodded with satisfaction and said with a smile, since you're so straightforward, then I'll be frank. Water Spirit nodded. There's no harm in saying it. Wu Kedi lightly coughed, then slowly said, you can first give us a level 20 equipment and 2 level 15 equipment. At this point, Wu Kedi paused for a moment before continuing. After a year, the Heaven's Craftsman Gate will give the Wu family a piece of level 20 equipment. Then, we will be even. Hearing Wu Kedi's conditions, Water Spirit was stunned for a while before suddenly shouting, Wu Kedi, you're too shameless. We've already given you a level 20 equipment and 2 level 15 equipment. How can we give you another level 20 equipment after a year? Isn't this a bit too much? Hearing Water Spirit's roar, Wu Kedi shook his head. Water Spirit, this matter is consensual. The 2 level 15 equipment you mentioned can only be considered as interest. So, after a year, you still have to give me a level 20 equipment. Is there something wrong with that? Hearing Wu Kedi's answer, Water Spirit suddenly flew into a rage and crazily roared. Wu Kedi, you're too shameless. You think level 15 equipment doesn't need to be crafted? That it doesn't need materials? That it just fell from the sky? I definitely won't agree to this condition of yours. You should just give up. Wu Kedi spread out his hands. Water Spirit, you should calm down. You're the one who asked me to state my conditions, so of course I'll state the conditions that are most beneficial to me. Don't tell me you expect me to say that I don't want the equipment. Isn't that a joke? Water Spirit angrily said, even if you want to state conditions, you should at least state conditions that everyone can accept. How can you even say such hateful conditions? Wu Kedi shook his head. Since you don't want to accept this condition, then I can't do anything about it. In order to reach an agreement between us, please immediately take out 2 level 20 equipment. Hearing Wu Kedi's words, Water Spirit swallowed back the words she was about to say. She took a few deep breaths before shaking her head. No, we definitely don't have 2 level 20 equipment. Wu Kedi coldly laughed. If that's the case, then what's the point of us talking about this? How about we just cancel this agreement? You Tiangongmen don't need to give us equipment. Our Wu family can do whatever we want. You Tiangongmen can't do anything about it. Seeing that both sides were in a deadlock again, Shadowless suddenly stepped up and said, You two, let's talk about this peacefully. Don't let your emotions get the better of you. Saying this, Shadowless turned to look at Water Spirit and said with a smile, Water Spirit, don't you think so? Seeing Shadowless' gaze, Water Spirit froze for a moment. The anger in her heart quickly dissipated. She suddenly remembered that if she got angry with Wu Kedi now, then it wouldn't be good for her and Fire Spirit at all. Her and Fire Spirit's goal this time was to get the Kikyaromen. As long as they could bring the Kikyaromen back, then everything would be fine. Thinking up to here, Water Spirit let out a sigh of relief and calmed her anger. She no longer turned to look at Wu Kedi and slowly said, Brother Wu Kedi, let's talk about peacefully. Chapter 457. After hearing Water Spirit's words, Wu Kedi nodded indifferently. Water Spirit, I'm very sincere, but you keep going back on your words. You're not sincere at all. Hearing Wu Kedi's words, the anger in Water Spirit's heart was ignited again. The Tiangongmen gave you equipment, and you're still being so picky. Are you even human? Not only that, but you're still making sarcastic remarks. It's simply infuriating. Water Spirit was sure that if the 2 pieces of level 15 equipment were to be given to someone, that person would probably be deeply grateful to the Heaven's Craftsman faction. However, Wu Kedi seemed to be at a disadvantage when faced with 2 pieces of level 15 equipment. Water Spirit was so angry that her hands and feet were trembling. If there was a way, she would immediately tear Wu Kedi to pieces to vent the anger in her heart. But that was just a thought. Water Spirit was sure that if she got angry right now, the ones who would be torn to pieces would be her and Fire Spirit. This time, the Wu family not only sent the 2 brothers, Wu Kedi and Wu Kedi, but also their elder, Wu Lai. Wu Lai's martial arts were unfathomable, so she guessed that if there were no accidents, she and Fire Spirit together wouldn't be a match for Wu Lai. They would definitely be beaten up miserably. Water Spirit lowered her head and thought for a bit. Then she looked up at Wu Kedi and said, just like brother Wu Kedi said, I can give your Wu family a piece of level 20 equipment. After a year, I'll give you another piece of level 20 equipment. How about this? It was reasonable to say that Water Spirit's condition was already very generous. Level 20 equipment was something that many people had never seen in their entire life. Given 2 pieces of such good equipment to the Wu clan for free, Wu Kedi would have been overjoyed if it were any other time. But now it was different. The more Water Spirit said this, the more suspicious Wu Kedi became. The rumors about Kikyaromen were true. Kikyaromen could really use the skin of a wild bear to make armor that could block level 24 attacks. Thinking of this, Wu Kedi became very excited. There were plenty of wild bears in the wastelands, as many as one wanted. However, with Kikyaromen's help, crafting LV-24 equipment would be a piece of cake. Level 20 equipment wasn't bad, but Wu Kedi knew that Kikyaromen could use wild bear pelts to make level 24 leather armor. In his eyes, level 20 equipment was no different from toys. This meant that if the Changong men were willing to give him the 2 pieces of level 20 equipment, Wu Kedi would take them. If the Changong men did not want to, Wu Kedi would not force them. Wu Kedi did not care about the 2 level 20 equipment, but he had to bring the Kikyaromen back. Thinking up to this point, Wu Kedi suddenly sneered, Water Spirit, can we not go back on our words? I just said that if you want to pay for the other level 20 equipment a year later, you will have to pay interest. At this point, Wu Kedi paused for a moment before continuing. The interest is the 2 pieces of level 15 equipment. Unless the Heaven's Craftsman faction wants to give us level 20 equipment right away, we'll have to pay interest if we delay the payment. Hearing Wu Kedi's words, Water Spirit sighed, Brother Wu Kedi, can't we have a good talk? Wu Kedi sneered, am I not having a good talk with you? If you didn't go back on your words at the beginning, we would have already reached an agreement. Hearing this, Water Spirit bitterly said, Brother Wu Kedi, this is all my fault, but we Changong men also have our difficulties. If we only pay you 2 level 20 equipment, then the Changong men can still afford it. Speaking up to here, Water Spirit turned to look at Shadowless before continuing, but Brother Shadowless also wants 2 pieces of level 20 equipment. This will be difficult. Speaking of this, Water Spirit sighed again before slowly saying, wanting to make a level 20 equipment is no small matter, it is not an easy matter. Paying for so many level 20 equipment in such a short time, even the Changong men might not be able to do it. So Brother Wu Kedi, please cooperate with us and understand the difficulties of the Changong men. As long as you agree to pay for the other level 20 equipment a year later, our agreement will take effect immediately. After hearing Shui Lingzi's words, Wu Kedi shook his head. Shui Lingzi, I'll be honest with you. It's not that our Wu clan is being unreasonable. It's just that your Heaven's Craftsman faction has gone too far. Speaking of this, Wu Kedi paused for a moment before continuing. At the beginning, we asked for a level 24 equipment, but you did not agree and insisted on giving us 2 level 20 equipment. Good, remember what you said. Our Wu family will give you face and use 2 pieces of level 20 equipment to replace that level 24 equipment. Speaking up to here, Wu Kedi looked at Shui Lingzi and suddenly shouted, Shui Lingzi, our Wu family has already taken a step back, but not only are you not grateful, you even think that our Wu family is easy to bully. Just as Wu Kedi said this, Shui Lingzi waved her hand and interrupted him. Brother Wu Kedi, you're wrong. It's clearly our Heaven's Craftsman faction who has repeatedly exercised forbearance, so how is it your Wu family who has taken a step back? Wu Kedi angrily said, Taking a level 24 equipment back to 2 level 20 equipment, isn't that taking a step back? Water Spirit nodded. I am very grateful for this point. The Wu family is very reasonable. Wu Kedi sneered. You yourself have admitted this point, but how did you treat us? In the end, you are not even willing to give us 2 level 20 equipment. Speaking of this, Wu Kedi sneered a few more times before continuing. Not only that, you also think our Wu family is a fool. You actually want to use 2 level 10 equipment to exchange for a level 20 equipment. Tell me, is there such a fool in this world? Water Spirit hurriedly waved her hand and said, Brother Wu Kedi, you misunderstood. This old man really did not mean that. What I said just now was just a temporary measure. Speaking up to here, Water Spirit sighed. Our Heaven's Craftsman Gate really can't take out that many level 20 equipment, so would like to ask Brother Wu Kedi to make an exception and exchange 2 level 10 equipment for that level 20 equipment. Wu Kedi sneered and waved his hand. Water Spirit, by doing this, aren't you treating our Wu family as fools? Do you think our Wu family doesn't know that 2 level 10 equipment can compare to a level 20 equipment? Water Spirit, you are really going too far. I am so angry. Seeing Wu Kedi getting angry, Water Spirit hurriedly explained, Brother Wu Kedi, you really misunderstood me. Chapter 458. Wu Kedi angrily said, Water Spirit, could it be that you want to use 2 level 10 equipment to exchange for 1 level 20 equipment? Did I misunderstand you? Hearing Wu Kedi's words, Water Spirit blushed and hurriedly waved his hand. Brother Wu Kedi, it's already over, let's not talk about it anymore. Since you're not satisfied with the conditions just now, we can talk about it again until everyone is satisfied. Wu Kedi stretched out 2 fingers and coldly said, 2 level 20 equipment, can't be delayed, this deal is done. Seeing this, Water Spirit hurriedly waved his hand and said, Brother Wu Kedi, it's really impossible to pay immediately. I can promise you that within a year, I will definitely pay the other level 20 equipment to your Wu clan. Wu Kedi decisively shook his head. No, you Changongmen don't keep your word, I'm really worried. Hearing Wu Kedi's words, Water Spirit was a bit angry. Wu Kedi, when have we Changongmen ever not kept our word? You better explain it clearly. Wu Kedi heard this and coldly laughed. Water Spirit, with what you did just now, do you think we're not worried? This time, before Water Spirit could say anything, Shadowless, who stood beside her, suddenly spoke up. Water Spirit, you don't need to say anything more. No matter what you say, nobody believes that your Heaven's Craftsman Gate can't even produce a few pieces of level 20 equipment. Water Spirit shook his head and bitterly smiled. Brother Shadowless, although the Changongmen are rich, if you want to take out so many level 20 equipment at once, I'm afraid that it will immediately affect the operations of the Changongmen. The consequences would be unimaginable. Water Spirit's words were sincere, and it was also the truth. Just by looking at how Han Qingyun used deep-sea cold iron and fine gold to forge equipment, it should be clear how high-level level 20 equipment was. Deep-sea cold iron and fine gold equipment could only be considered level 10 equipment, it probably couldn't even reach level 15 equipment. One could imagine how difficult it was to forge level 20 equipment. Indeed, the Changongmen were big. If they used up all their resources, they could still forge 6 level 20 equipment. But what about in the future? How were the Changongmen going to operate in the future if all the top-grade materials were used up? It was impossible for the huge Changongmen to only produce level 10 and below equipment. If they really produced equipment below level 10, the reputation of the Changongmen would be completely destroyed. Water Spirit naturally knew this, so she didn't want to give them so much level 20 equipment at once. Shadowless and Wu Kedi naturally knew the difficulties of the Changongmen, but so what if they knew? This was such a good opportunity. If he did not take advantage of it and earn 2 pieces of level 20 equipment from the Changongmen, he would not have another chance in the future. As for whether or not the Changongmen had enough materials to produce more advanced equipment, that had nothing to do with them. Looking at the bitter face of Shui Lingzi, although Wu Kedi understood Shui Lingzi's difficulties, he still didn't want to let her go. If Shui Lingzi backed off, Wu Kedi swore that he would not make things difficult for him. Wu Kedi naturally understood why Shui Lingzi was doing this. Shui Lingzi wanted to take away the Changongmen and take the secrets of the Changongmen for herself. If she gave up on this plan, Wu Kedi naturally did not need to take her 2 pieces of level 20 equipment. With Kikyaromen, there would be plenty of advanced equipment. Thinking of this, Wu Kedi suddenly said loudly, "Shui Lingzi, we are all from the south region, I'll give you a suggestion." Hearing Wu Kedi's words, Shui Lingzi's eyes lit up. "Brother Wu Kedi, if you have something to say, just say it." Wu Kedi nodded and said softly, "I think, since the Tiangongmen can't take out that much equipment, why don't you all leave?" Hearing Wu Kedi's words, Shui Lingzi's heart sank. If she left like this, wouldn't she miss out on a good opportunity? Once the secret of Kikyaromen was spread out, if Kikyaromen could really create such heaven-defying equipment, then the Tiangongmen would no longer have a foothold in the south region. Once level 20 equipment was everywhere in the south region, the decline of the Tiangongmen would only be a matter of time. Thinking of this, Shui Lingzi's heart was filled with sorrow. This time, she had to seize this opportunity. If she missed this opportunity, the Tiangongmen would be finished. Shui Lingzi looked at Wu Kedi and suddenly sighed, "Brother Wu Kedi, thank you for your good intentions, but Kikyaromen is closely related to sect leader Han's disappearance. So, I must let Kikyaromen come with us to help with the investigation." Hearing Shui Lingzi's expected words, Wu Ku let out a sigh. "In that case, I hope the Heavens Craftsman faction can give me my 2 pieces of LV-20 equipment as soon as possible." Hearing Wu Kedi mention this matter again, Shui Lingzi became impatient again. If Chichiao sect's secret was true, and they could really use Wilderness Bear's skin to forge level 20 equipment, then giving Wu Clan 2 pieces of level 20 equipment wouldn't matter much. But if Kikyaromen's secret was fake and they only used some item to temporarily increase the defense of the leather armor, then this secret would be useless. Water Spirit was very clear that if there was an item that could increase the defense of a wild bear's leather, then the value of this item would far exceed the value of this leather armor. Not only that, but this item would also be very difficult to obtain. It might even be the only one in the world. So, if Kikyaromen's secret was fake, then even if they captured the people from Kikyaromen, they wouldn't be able to increase the strength of the Tiangongmen. Paying the 3 of them 6 pieces of level 20 equipment was no different from throwing them into the water for nothing. Thinking about this, Shui Lingzi became even more hesitant. She couldn't make the right decision. At this critical moment, she didn't know which decision was right. Shui Lingzi could see that Wu Kedi and the others were making things difficult for her because they had the same goal. Shui Lingzi was sure that if she withdrew from the Kikyaromen, then Wu Kedi and Shadowless would immediately become enemies. It could even be said that the Godly Sword sect would also join this group of enemies. Shui Lingzi didn't dare to test her luck. Whether Kikyaromen's secret was true or not, no one could be sure. This meant that there was a 50% chance that it was true. Once she withdrew, if the people from Kikyaromen were taken away by the 3 groups, and if Kikyaromen's secret was true, then the Tiangongmen would be finished. So, Shui Lingzi didn't dare to test her luck. She was afraid that Kikyaromen's secret was true. If it was true, then everything would be over. Thinking of this, Shui Lingzi sighed, turned to Wu Kedi, and slowly said, "Brother Wu Kedi, on account of the relationship between our 2 families, can you make an exception?" Chapter 459. Hearing Shui Lingzi's words, Wu Kedi shook his head. "Shui Lingzi, it's not that I don't want to bend the rules, but you really don't let me feel at ease." Speaking up to here, Wu Kedi paused for a bit before continuing. "Shui Lingzi, if you were me, I'm afraid you wouldn't bend the rules either." Hearing Wu Kedi's words, Shui Lingzi silently nodded. Although she knew that Wu Kedi was telling the truth, she was still thinking quickly about how to deal with the situation in front of her. 2 pieces of level 20 equipment. If it was only the Wu clan, then it would be fine. After all, the Tiangongmen would be able to gather 2 pieces of level 20 equipment. What worried Shui Lingzi was that if she gave the Wu clan 2 pieces of level 20 equipment, then Shadowless and the Godly Sword sect would definitely not only give them 1 piece. If that was the case, then the Tiangongmen would have to pay 6 pieces of level 20 equipment. The Tiangongmen could indeed take out 6 pieces of level 20 equipment, but after taking them out, they would definitely lose a lot of strength. In the next few years, they would not be able to make any more high-level equipment. This kind of loss was not something that Shui Lingzi was willing to bear. Then what should she do? Shui Lingzi looked around and suddenly had an idea. This time, the Wu clan had sent 3 experts. Wu Kedi and Wu Ketian were easy to deal with, but Wu Lai was definitely not someone that the 2 of them could deal with. If she wanted to rope them in and make them ignore this matter, then other than giving them 2 pieces of level 20 equipment, there was no other way. Although the Wu clan had to give 2 pieces of level 20 equipment, Shadowless and the Godly Sword Sect did not need to. This time, only Shadowless came. No matter how strong Shadowless was, Water Spirit believed that he wouldn't be a match for her and Fire Spirit's winning streak. There was also the Godly Sword Sect. Although Yin Dao's martial arts were not bad, in Shui Lingzi's eyes, he was still too weak. Thinking up to here, Shui Lingzi suddenly had an idea. Give the Wu clan 2 pieces of level 20 equipment and make them ignore this matter. As for Shadowless, as long as the Wu clan did not interfere, Shui Lingzi would not put Shadowless in her eyes. Understanding this point, Shui Lingzi's heart relaxed. She cupped her fists towards Wu Kedi and smiled. Brother Wu Kedi, I was too stingy just now. But don't worry, as long as the Wu clan agrees not to interfere, I will definitely give you the 2 pieces of level 20 equipment. Hearing Shui Lingzi's words, Wu Kudi was stunned. Just a moment ago Shui Lingzi was so calculative, why did she suddenly become so generous? Wu Kedi did not know what was going on, but since she agreed to give him 2 pieces of level 20 equipment, then this was definitely a good thing. There were benefits to scam, there were only benefits, there was no harm to steal. Thinking of this, Wu Kedi smiled and said, well said, as long as you keep your promise, we generals will not go back on our words. Lingzi once again, to Lingzis, Lingzi once again, Lingzi, thank. After saying this, Shui Lingzi turned to Shadowless and smiled, Brother Shadowless, do you want to leave by yourself, or do you want us to ask you to leave? Hearing Shui Lingzi's words, Shadowless was stunned. After a while, he suddenly let out a cold laugh. Shui Lingzi, do you think that just because I'm the only one here, you'll be able to defeat me? Shui Lingzi quickly waved her hand, Brother Shadowless, don't misunderstand. As long as you promise me not to interfere, you can leave. We brothers will not say a word. Shadowless shook his head, no, I am a person who loves to meddle in other people's business. If I see something wrong, I will want to interfere. This is a habit that has been there for many years, I'm afraid it can't be changed in a short period of time. Please forgive me. Hearing Shadowless' answer, Shui Lingzi took a step forward and coldly smiled, Brother Shadowless, do you think you can do anything by yourself? Shadowless shook his head, I don't know, but I have a very bad habit. Even if you know you can't do anything, you still want to try. Shui Lingzi sneered, so Brother Shadowless, you don't want to give us face? Face. Shadowless smiled, this isn't a matter of face, but a matter of right or wrong. If your Heaven's Craftsman faction is just and reasonable, then even if you lose face, I won't get involved in this matter. Shadowless paused for a bit before continuing, but if you Tiangong men are unreasonable, then no matter how powerful you Tiangong men are, I will still interfere. Hearing Shadowless' answer, Shui Lingzi nodded and took a step forward, Brother Shadowless, seeing that we are all friends, you won't even give me this bit of face. Seeing Shui Lingzi take a step closer to him, Shadowless didn't care at all and coldly smiled. Shui Lingzi, do you have many levels of friends? Shui Lingzi sneered, Shadowless, what do you mean? Shadowless turned his head to look at Wu Kedi, then smiled and said, the Wu clan has many experts here today, so the Heaven's Craftsman faction is willing to spend 2 pieces of level 20 equipment to bribe the Wu clan. At this point, Shadowless turned to look at the people from the Godly Knife faction. He then continued, our people and the Godly Knife faction are few in number, and our martial arts are low. So, you want to force us to leave and save the 2 level 20 equipment. Hearing Shadowless' words, Shui Lingzi's face turned red. Luckily it was night time, so they weren't seen by many people. Shui Lingzi calmed herself down and sternly shouted, don't talk nonsense. Let me ask you, what do you want? Do you want to obediently leave or do you want to promise me that you won't cause trouble again? Hearing Shui Lingzi's question, Shadowless shook his head, I don't want to agree to either of your conditions. I don't want to obediently leave, but I also don't want to listen to you. Just as Shadowless said this, Shui Lingzi suddenly let out a low roar, and in the blink of an eye, she rushed towards Shadowless like a bolt of lightning. His fists were as fast as lightning, creating a strong gust of wind that blew against Shadowless' clothes. Shadowless martial arts weren't as good as Shui Lingzi's, but why was he called Shadowless? It was because he was extremely fast, so people called him Shadowless. As for his real name, it had long been forgotten. Seeing Shui Lingzi's fist coming towards him, Shadowless only coldly smiled and disappeared, leaving only his cold laughter in the night. Although Shadowless disappeared quickly, Shui Lingzi wasn't someone to be trifled with. Seeing that Shadowless had dodged, Shui Lingzi let out a cold snort and sent a powerful punch towards where Shadowless had disappeared to. Shadowless once again let out a cold laugh and suddenly appeared beside Shui Lingzi. Chapter 460. Shadowless came to Shui Lingzi's side and suddenly raised his hand. A shiny dagger appeared in his hand. The dagger carried a deep cold light and suddenly stabbed towards Shui Lingzi's ribs. Feeling the cold wind, Shui Lingzi suddenly jumped into the air and threw a punch towards Shadowless' head. Shadowless saw that he didn't succeed and didn't dare to stay. He quickly bent his body and rushed forward, dodging Shui Lingzi's attack. Although Shadowless dodged Shui Lingzi's attack, the strong wind caused his hair to become messy. Shadowless rushed forward a few steps and dodged Shui Lingzi's attack before stabilizing his body. Looking back at Shui Lingzi, his heart couldn't help but be shocked. He thought that with his Qinggong, even if he couldn't win against Shui Lingzi, he wouldn't lose. But Shui Lingzi's punch just now made him understand that Shui Lingzi's martial arts absolutely couldn't be underestimated. Just now, he had only withstood the wind from Shui Lingzi's punch and it had already caused pain to his face. If he had been hit by Shui Lingzi's punch, he would have been finished. Thinking of this, Shadowless didn't dare to be careless. He turned around and cupped his fist towards Shui Lingzi. Shui Lingzi, your martial arts are really good. Shadowless paused for a moment before continuing. However, no matter how good your martial arts are, I'm afraid it's impossible for you to defeat me. As soon as Shadowless' voice fell, a voice rang out beside him. Is that so? What if I join in? When Shadowless heard this, he suddenly realized something. Suddenly, he felt a gust of wind coming from the side. He didn't dare to be careless anymore. He quickly jumped up and jumped into the air. Shadowless' body had just jumped up when Shui Lingzi's powerful punch flew past his feet. Before Shadowless could rejoice that he dodged in time, Shui Lingzi also jumped into the air and smashed towards Shadowless. Shadowless didn't think that the two would team up to deal with him. He quickly flipped in the air and dodged Shui Lingzi's attack. After this attack, Shadowless fell to the ground. Not only that, he hurriedly took a few steps back to open up the distance between him and Water Spirit. You Tiangong men are really capable. With your status, you actually joined hands to deal with me. Aren't you afraid of being ridiculed by the people of Jianghu? Water Spirit blushed, but before she could say anything, Fire Spirit roared, against a villain like you, no matter how many people there are, it won't be enough. Shadowless couldn't help but sneer at Shui Lingzi. Shui Lingzi, is this how your Heaven's Craftsman faction acts? Shui Lingzi shook her head. Today's matter is of great importance, we have no other choice. Speaking up to here, Water Spirit paused and sighed before continuing. Brother Wu Ying, as long as you promise to stay out of this place, I won't make things difficult for you. Don't worry, I, Water Spirit, will keep my word. Hearing Shui Lingzi's words, Shadowless suddenly sneered. When facing a strong enemy, you promise them benefits. When dealing with a weak enemy, you act in a tyrannical manner. So this is how your Heaven's Craftsman faction does things. It's really an eye-opener for me. Fire Spirit raged. So what? I told you not to meddle in other people's business. You didn't listen. Are you going to blame us brothers for attacking? Shadowless shook his head and turned to Shui Lingzi. Shui Lingzi, you think the two of you can really deal with me? After hearing Shadowless' words, Shui Lingzi sighed. Brother Shadowless, your movement technique is very good, but with us brothers working together, you're definitely not our match. It's best if you listen to me and leave as soon as possible. Shadowless sneered. I don't believe you. Shui Lingzi sighed again. Since you don't believe me, then I have no choice but to restrain you. After saying this, Shui Lingzi turned into a bolt of lightning and charged at Shadowless. At the same time, the fire spirit let out an angry roar. He jumped into the air and attacked Shadowless from the sky. Shadowless didn't dare to fight back. He could only stomp on the ground and jump out horizontally. Shui Lingzi already knew that Shadowless would do this. Before she reached him, she changed direction and chased after him. Shui Lingzi could change direction but Fire Spirit couldn't. Shui Lingzi was charging on the ground, so she could change direction. Fire Spirit was in the air, so he couldn't change direction. Seeing Shui Lingzi rush up alone, Shadowless sneered. He was also waiting for this opportunity. Shadowless flipped his hand and a shiny dagger appeared in his hand. In the next moment, the cold dagger turned into a bright light and welcomed Shui Lingzi's attack. Even if Shui Lingzi's martial arts were higher than Shadowless, he didn't dare to meet the dagger with his bare hands. Helpless, Shui Lingzi could only slow down her attack and dodge to the side. At the same time, she regretted not bringing her own weapon. She thought that Kikyaromen didn't need those things. She didn't expect these forces to appear out of nowhere. Seeing Shui Lingzi dodge to the side, Shadowless wasn't willing to let her go. With a fierce flick of his hand, the dagger stabbed towards Shui Lingzi. Shui Lingzi took advantage of the moment Shadowless changed his move and suddenly reached out to hit Shadowless' wrist, wanting to knock his dagger away. Shui Lingzi's move was very fast. Shadowless couldn't dodge it even if he wanted to. He could only reach out his left hand and block Shui Lingzi's punch. Pa! The two's fists collided. Although they both attacked in a hurry, they were still forced back a step by the recoil before they could stabilize themselves. Shadowless had just stabilized himself and before he could react, Fire Spirit had already landed on the ground and kicked at Shadowless' side. Shadowless saw the situation and quickly took a step back, dodging Fire Spirit's attack. At the same time, he waved his dagger at Fire Spirit's foot. Seeing the cold glint of the dagger coming at his feet, the Fire Spirit was scared. He quickly roared and stopped his attack, barely dodging Shadowless' dagger. After forcing Fire Spirit back, before Shadowless could relax, he felt a gust of wind coming from the side. Shadowless was shocked. He couldn't care less anymore. He stomped on the ground and jumped into the air with all his strength. Fire Spirit saw this and was about to chase after him. However, Shadowless flipped in the air and landed far away. Fire Spirit roared and wanted to chase, but he was stopped by Shui Lingzi. Shui Lingzi turned to look at Shadowless and smiled. "Brother Shadowless, we brothers haven't even used our full strength and you've already lost. I think you should accept our conditions." Chapter 461. Shui Lingzi naturally had her reasons for not chasing after Shadowless. Although Shadowless came alone this time, the power behind him couldn't be underestimated. My family might be famous in the South County, but Shadowless was different. The power behind Shadowless was a powerful force in the entire Anwu country. More importantly, the Wu family could only rely on the Tiangongmen to get equipment in the South County, but Shadowless was different. He could get equipment in the entire Anwu country. Therefore, they didn't rely on the Tiangongmen very much. Therefore, Shui Lingzi didn't want to offend Shadowless and the power behind him. Hearing Shui Lingzi's words, Shadowless sneered, "Shui Lingzi, do you think you two brothers can defeat me with your strength?" Shadowless paused for a moment before continuing, "You two brothers didn't use your full strength just now. Do you think I used my full strength just now?" Shui Lingzi smiled and waved her hand. "Brother Shadowless, don't say such things. No matter what, we Tiangongmen don't want to be enemies with you." Shui Lingzi paused for a moment before slowly continuing, "Brother Shadowless, you heard what I said just now. Our Tiangongmen's vice sect leader mysteriously disappeared during this competition. Therefore, we need to bring Kikyaromen's people back. After this matter is investigated, we will naturally let them go. This is a matter between us Tiangongmen and Kikyaromen, so I ask Brother Shadowless to not get involved in this matter. After this matter is over, I will definitely go to your place to thank you." As soon as Shui Lingzi finished speaking, Sun Qiaoer, who had been silent all this time, suddenly spoke up. "Shui Lingzi, this matter really has nothing to do with our Kikyaromen. I already said that sect leader Han's matter was done by Ji Yunfei. If there's anything, you can go find him. Why are you making things difficult for our Kikyaromen?" Hearing Sun Qiaoer's words, Shadowless sneered, Shui Lingzi, you've heard it too. Since Seven Skills Sect has already explained this matter clearly, why are you still pestering them? Is there a purpose in doing so? Shui Lingzi's expression changed and she quickly said, Brother Shadowless, when sect leader Han disappeared, it was during the competition between Kikyaromen and the Tiangongmen. If you say this has nothing to do with Kikyaromen, who would believe it? As soon as Water Spirit's voice fell, Shadowless immediately replied, I believe you. After saying this, Shadowless paused for a moment before explaining. Sect leader Sun and the others' martial arts aren't high and sect leader Han's martial arts isn't something they can compare to. Even if sect leader Sun and the others wanted to harm sect leader Han, how could the Seven Skills sect accomplish such a thing in front of so many people? Furthermore, their martial arts were inferior to sect leader Han's. Moreover, sect leader Sun also said that this matter was done by Ji Yunfei. Ji Yunfei is an elder of the Tiangongmen and Han Qingyun is his disciple. If Ji Yunfei wanted to harm Han Qingyun, it would be a simple matter. Even though this happened during the competition between the Tiangongmen and Kikyaromen, if you think about it carefully, this is actually an internal matter of the Tiangongmen and has nothing to do with Kikyaromen. Speaking up to here, Shadowless looked at Shui Lingzi and sneered, Shui Lingzi, am I not clear enough? This is your Tiangongmen's matter and has nothing to do with outsiders. Could it be that you want Kikyaromen's people to go back with you and use them as scapegoats? After hearing Shadowless' words, Sun Qiao shouted, yes, that's right. This is your Tiangong's problem. Don't blame it on our Seven Skills sect. Hearing Sun Qiao's shouts, Fire Spirit said angrily, shut up. No one is asking you. Shadowless sneered, you Tiangongmen bully the weak. This is against the rules. Could it be that Kikyaromen won't allow someone else to say something fair? Shui Lingzi thought for a bit before saying, our matter with Kikyaromen, other than sect leader Han's matter, there's still the competition between us that hasn't ended yet. So, after dealing with sect leader Han's matter, we still need to continue the competition until the victor is decided. After hearing Shui Lingzi's words, Shadowless nodded. After talking for so long, it seems your Heaven's Craftsman faction won't let Chiqiao sect off no matter what. Fire Spirit sneered, Shadowless, don't talk nonsense. This isn't a matter of letting them go or not. This competition must continue. Shui Lingzi nodded, we Tiangongmen are a big sect and have a bit of fame in the south region. If we can't even finish the competition with Kikyaromen, we'll be laughed at by the people of Jianghu. Shadowless nodded, so, you must bring Kikyaromen's people back. Shadowless paused for a bit before continuing, in order to bring Kikyaromen's people back, you don't care if they agree or not. If I'm not wrong, if Kikyaromen's people don't agree to go back with you, you'll probably use force. Shui Lingzi replied seriously, yes, if Kikyaromen doesn't want to go back with us, we'll find a way to make them go back with us. Shadowless shook his head, I, Shadowless, don't agree with Tiangongmen on this point. So, I'll definitely stop you from doing that. Hearing Shadowless' answer, Fire Spirit sneered. With just you. Do you think you can stop all of us by yourself? Shadowless nodded. If I want to stop you, I alone will be enough. Fire Spirit suddenly roared and threw a punch at Shadowless. Shadowless, I want to see if you can do that. Shadowless sneered and took a step back, is that so? Then I'll show you. Following Shadowless' words, a bright light rose from Shadowless' hand. In the blink of an eye, it charged towards Fire Spirit. Fire Spirit laughed, child's play, let's see how I'll break you. As soon as the Fire Spirit finished speaking, his fist began to spin rapidly. Soon, a black ball appeared in front of him. After a while, the Fire Spirit suddenly roared and the black ball flew towards Shadowless. The black ball and Shadowless' bright light collided. Everyone felt a gust of wind blowing in front of them. The wind was so strong that it made everyone's clothes flutter. After the two of them collided, the powerful genuine Qi immediately shook Shadowless back 4 or 5 steps before he could stabilize himself. At the same time, his heart was filled with shock. Chapter 462. Fire Spirit's attack succeeded and he was about to chase again. However, Shadowless had already retreated out of his attack range. Only then did he stabilize himself. Fire Spirit saw this and sneered, Shadowless, aren't you very powerful? Why are you running? Shadowless shook his head. Why should I run? Fire Spirit said angrily, why are you so far away from me? Shadowless immediately laughed at the sky. Fire Spirit, you're meddling too much. Do I need to ask you for permission to stand anywhere? Fire Spirit was furious when he heard what Shadowless said. He immediately jumped up and charged at Shadowless. Shadowless Qinggong was very high. He might not be as good as Fire Spirit in a head-on battle, but in terms of dodging, it was hard for Fire Spirit to catch up to him. Shadowless sneered when he saw Fire Spirit charging at him. He turned around and dodged to the side. The Fire Spirit chased after him a few times, but Shadowless easily dodged them all. The Fire Spirit was furious as he roared out in anger. Shadowless felt great when he saw how angry Fire Spirit was. Just as he was about to mock him, he suddenly felt a surge of chi coming from the side. Shadowless didn't dare to be careless. He quickly jumped up and dodged to the side again. However, as soon as he dodged, the chi chased after him like a shadow. Shadowless was shocked. He quickly stomped on the ground and jumped into the air, taking the attack. Shadowless was about to let out a sigh of relief when Fire Spirit also jumped into the air and punched at him. Shadowless was shocked when he heard the sound of Fire Spirit's fist breaking through the air. He wanted to dodge now, but it was too late. He had no choice but to take out his dagger again and block Fire Spirit's fist. Fire Spirit already expected Shadowless to block him again. He sneered when he saw the blade flash in front of him. A black ball of light shot out from his fist and hit Shadowless like lightning. Shadowless saw this and waved his dagger around to block the black ball of light. Pa! The black ball of light and Shadowless dagger collided and immediately made a muffled sound. After the sound, the two were both sent flying back. Shadowless used the recoil force to fly far away. Seeing that her attack had missed, Shui Lingzi did not stop and suddenly leaped forward, rushing towards where Shadowless had landed. Shadowless, who was still in the air, saw Water Spirit charge over and immediately understood what she was thinking. He couldn't help but be shocked. Fire Spirit, who had just fallen to the ground, saw this and didn't dare to hesitate. He quickly stomped on the ground and chased after Shadowless like a cannonball. Seeing this, cold sweat appeared on Shadowless' forehead. He wanted to land on the ground, but Water Spirit's on the ground. Fire Water Spirit's is spirit in the air. More importantly, at this moment, the Shadowless was in the air, so it was impossible for him to change direction again. He could only follow his original trajectory and fall in the direction of Shui Lingzi. In this dangerous situation, Shadowless felt a chill in his heart. After thinking for a moment, Shadowless clenched his teeth and suddenly turned around. The dagger in his hand glowed brightly. At the same time, he roared. Flowing water. As Shadowless' voice fell, the light in front of him suddenly became clear. It was like a clear spring that flowed down from top to bottom. Occasionally, there would be a few waves in the clear spring water, causing ripples to appear in the clear lake water. Shui Lingzi, who was about to throw out a punch, jumped in fright when she saw this. Although her martial arts were higher than Shadowless, Shadowless' skills were not to be underestimated. Even if Water Spirit used normal attacks, she wouldn't be able to block it. Water Spirit knew this and could only retreat. Because the two were too close, even if she wanted to use a skill, she wouldn't be able to. This thought only appeared in Shui Lingzi's mind for a moment before she immediately reacted. Water Spirit suddenly lowered her body and threw herself to the side. While Water Spirit dodged, Shadowless' attack also arrived. The clear spring water flowed down to the place where Shui Lingzi was standing. In an instant, the dust on the ground suddenly rose up, followed by a muffled sound. Then, the spring water completely flowed down to the ground, and the dust completely covered the place. Shui Lingzi dodged in time and fell to the ground. She didn't even have time to get up and rolled a few times before bouncing up and standing to the side. At this moment, Shadowless used the rebound force from his skill and landed too late. Fire Spirit's attack had already arrived. Fire Spirit's black ball of light hit Shadowless' shoulder. Ah! Shadowless let out a scream and was sent flying by the power of the black ball of light. In the dust, Fire Spirit forced Shadowless back with one attack. Shadowless didn't dare to chase and quickly ran towards Water Spirit as soon as he landed on the ground. Big brother, are you okay? Water Spirit shook her head. I'm fine. Hearing Water Spirit's voice, Fire Spirit was relieved. He turned to look at the dust behind him and saw that it was still rolling in the air. After a while, the smoke and dust gradually dispersed. In the middle of the smoke and dust, the originally flat ground had become a deep crater. Looking at the hole, Fire Spirit turned to look at Shadowless and yelled, Shadowless, you're so vicious. You actually attacked so heavily. Shadowless wiped the stain from his mouth and held his shoulder that was hit. He said coldly, Fire Spirit, I don't know who's the vicious one. You two brothers teamed up to deal with him. Isn't that vicious? Fire Spirit was about to say something when Water Spirit walked up and cupped her fists. Brother Shadowless, as long as you promise not to interfere with this matter, I can swear that us brothers will never attack you again. Bah! Hearing Shui Ling's words, Shadowless spat on the ground and sneered, Who's your Shadowless brother? Don't say such nice things. Since you've injured me today, this matter isn't over. Shadowless paused and took a deep breath before continuing, Water Spirit, I'm telling you, if you want to take away Kikyaromen's people today, it's impossible. As long as I'm here, don't even think about it. Seeing that Shadowless was injured and was still spouting nonsense, Fire Spirit became angry and wanted to rush up again. However, Water Spirit quickly pulled him back and gave him a look before turning to Shadowless and speaking in an apologetic tone. Brother Shadowless, there was a misunderstanding just now. We shouldn't have fought, but because of a small argument, we really started fighting. Chapter 463. Shui Lingzi continued, Brother Shadowless, I won't hide it from you. I must bring the Kikyaromen people back today. Otherwise, I won't be able to go back and report. Speaking of this, Shui Lingzi cupped her fists at Shadowless. Brother Shadowless, please don't worry about this anymore. When this is over, I will find a way to repay Brother Shadowless. Hearing Shui Ling's words, Shadowless sneered, Repay? How are you going to repay me? Shui Lingzi paused for a moment before smiling. From now on, Brother Shadowless is our Tiangongmen's best friend. If you need us Tiangongmen in the future, please don't hesitate to ask. We Tiangongmen will do our best to help Brother Shadowless. Hearing Shui Ling's words, Shadowless suddenly sneered. After a while, he slowly said, Shui Lingzi, do you think that because I'm injured, I don't have any capital left? So you're trying to brush me off? Shui Lingzi heard this and quickly waved her hand. Brother Shadowless, what are you saying? We Tiangongmen are very sincere. Shadowless shook his head. Sincere? How come I don't see any sincerity from you Tiangongmen? Speaking of this, Shadowless sneered, Shui Lingzi, you should use a more sincere method. If it's just this, I won't be able to accept it. Hearing this, Fire Spirit suddenly yelled, Shadowless brat, if it wasn't for something important today, I would have beaten you up until you scream. You wouldn't be able to talk nonsense here. Shadowless looked at Fire Spirit with contempt and sneered, Fire Spirit, who doesn't know how to talk big? Let me tell you, if you want to catch up to me by yourself, you'll have to wait until your next life. Fire Spirit angrily stepped forward, Shadowless brat, you don't accept this. Shadowless shook his head, you can't even touch my smoke by yourself, why should I accept this? As a consecrated of the Tiangongmen, when had he ever been looked down upon like this? Fire Spirit clenched his fists and was about to charge forward again. Shui Lingzi saw this and could only sigh. She pulled Fire Spirit back and turned to Shadowless with a smile. Brother Shadowless, we Tiangongmen have no grievances with you. Why are you forcing us to do this? Please tell us what is the reason. Hearing this, Shadowless shook his head. It's nothing, I just see that you Tiangongmen are in the wrong and feel uncomfortable. That's why I want to get involved in this matter. Shui Lingzi sighed, Shadowless, I've already made it clear that we have A's disappearance, sects, Shadowless. So we must bring the Qiao's people back. So, we'll bring SSSTS. Speaking to here, Shui Lingzi paused for a bit before continuing, Brother Shadowless, are you going to get involved in our sect's business as well? Shadowless shook his head, if it's just your Tiangongmen's business, then I naturally wouldn't get involved. But you're venting your anger on Kikyaromen for no reason, of course I have to get involved. Shui Lingzi heard this and slowly said, Brother Shadowless, Aren't you just trying to get involved in our Tiangongmen's business? Shadowless shook his head again. I definitely won't get involved in your Tiangongmen's business, but you're bullying Kikyaromen, I really can't stand it. Seeing that Shadowless wasn't backing down, Shui Lingzi turned to Sun Qiaoer and sighed, Sect Leader Sun, I'm only looking for you because of Sect Leader Han's matter, there's nothing else. I think you should come back with me. Although Shui Lingzi's words were gentle, Sun Qiaoer still subconsciously took a step back and loudly said, I'm not going, I've already explained everything to you. Why would I go to the Tiangongmen? Shui Lingzi pointed at Shadowless and sighed, Sect Leader Sun, what do you think of Shadowless? Hearing Shui Lingzi's question, Sun Qiaoer nodded, very good. Shui Lingzi sighed again, but because your Kikyaromen won't come back with us, such a good person will probably die here today. Hearing Shui Lingzi's words, Sun Qiaoer was shocked and quickly asked, what do you want? Seeing that Sun Qiaoer was moved, Shui Lingzi was secretly happy and quickly continued, Shadowless has already been heavily injured by us for your Kikyaromen, but he still wants to stand up for your Kikyaromen. This kind of person can be considered a favor to your Kikyaromen. Speaking up to here, Shui Lingzi turned to look at Sun Qiaoer and faintly smiled, Sect Master Sun, my words shouldn't be wrong, right? Hearing Shui Lingzi's words, Sun Qiaoer subconsciously looked at Shadowless and nodded, of course, as long as you've helped our Kikyaromen, you're our Kikyaromen's friend. Seeing that Sun Qiaoer agreed with her words, Shui Lingzi was even more happy and quickly said again, Sect Leader Sun, could it be that you want to see your friend die here? Sun Qiaoer shook her head, I don't want to. Shui Lingzi sighed, Sect Leader Sun, although you don't want to, but if you don't come back with us, your Kikyaromen's friend will be hung here by us. Do you want to see this scene? Hearing Shui Lingzi's words, Sun Qiaoer angrily said, Shui Lingzi, Shadowless only said a few words of justice, do you want to make a move on him? Shui Lingzi sighed, our mission this time is to bring you back and investigate Sect Leader Han's whereabouts. Speaking up to here, Shui Lingzi paused for a moment before continuing, however, if someone tries to stop us, we will not show any mercy. Shui Lingzi pointed at Shadowless and turned to Sun Qiaoer and said word by word. Shadowless overestimated himself, thinking that he can stop us. Sect Leader Sun, you also saw it, if we didn't hold back, Shadowless would have already been hung here. Sect Leader Sun, if you don't leave with us, then we'll make a move on Wu Yong. Hearing Shui Lingzi's words, Sun Qiaoer was stunned. She didn't think that a dignified Tiangongmen would say such shameless words. But how should she answer him? Going back to the Tiangongmen with him was absolutely impossible. Sun Qiaoer was sure that if she really went back to the Tiangongmen with Shui Lingzi, she wouldn't be able to come out for the rest of her life. But if she rejected Shui Lingzi, then wouldn't that make Shadowless heart cold? No matter what, Shadowless had been helping them so she couldn't refuse. While Sun Qiaoer was hesitating, Shadowless suddenly laughed and said loudly, don't worry, Sun Qiaoer, I'm going to kill you. Shui Lingzi, you're really capable, in order to bring Kikyaromen's people back. Chapter 464. Shadowless said loudly, Shui Lingzi, you're too shameless. In order to bring Kikyaromen's people back, you're willing to do anything. Shui Lingzi didn't answer Shadowless and only coldly looked at Sun Qiaoer and asked, Sect Leader Sun, Shadowless' life is in your hands. If you agree to go back with us, Shadowless will be fine. If you don't, then I can only kill him. Speaking to here, Shui Lingzi paused for a bit before continuing, Sect Leader Sun, if it comes to that, then it's all your fault. Think about it, if someone dies for Kikyaromen, I'm afraid you won't feel good about it. Rather than that, why don't you come back with us? I, Shui Lingzi, promise you that as long as you agree to go back with us to the Tiangongmen, no one will dare to hurt you. After the matter is investigated, I will also promise to let you go. That should be fine, right? Shadowless still didn't wait for Sun Qiaoer to reply and spoke first. Sect Leader Sun, don't listen to his nonsense. With just the two of them, they want to deal with me. That's a fool's dream. Fire Spirit heard this and fiercely glared at Shadowless. Shadowless brat, do you think we can't deal with you? Shadowless shook his head, although your martial arts are higher than mine, if I don't fight with you, do you have the confidence to catch up to me? Fire Spirit sneered, do you want to try? Shadowless laughed, even if I say yes, you can't catch up to me. Water Spirit reached out to stop Fire Spirit, then turned to Sun Qiao and asked, Sect Master Sun, what do you think? Should we give it a try? Hearing Shui Lingzi's question, Sun Qiao shook her head. Shui Lingzi saw this and said in a deep voice, since you don't want Shadowless to try, does that mean you agree to go back with us? Sun Qiao heard this and shook her head, I don't agree. Seeing that Sun Qiao didn't agree no matter what, Shui Lingzi was furious. The 7 possibilities sect's people didn't have high martial arts, so Shui Lingzi believed that even if he used a single finger, he would be able to beat them down. However, with so many forces watching from the side, he really couldn't do that. Although he used 2 pieces of level 20 equipment to bribe the Wu clan and get rid of this big enemy, Shadowless and the Godly Sword Gate weren't that easy to deal with. Although Shadowless was injured, if he joined forces with the people from the Godly Sword sect, it wouldn't be easy for him to bring the people from the 7 possibilities sect back safely. Although the martial arts of the people from the Godly Saber School were not very high, they had a large number of people, which could be considered a force. More importantly, whether it was Shadowless or the people from the Godly Sword Gate, Shui Lingzi couldn't really kill them. No matter if Shadowless or the Godly Knife School's men were killed, they would certainly bring a powerful enemy to the Heaven's Craftsman School. Needless to say, the faction behind Shadowless was strong without a doubt. The Godly Sword Gate's people couldn't be underestimated either. Even if you used your toes to think, you wouldn't want to offend a martial arts sect that dominated a region. It was because of this that Shui Lingzi kept enduring and wanted to solve this problem peacefully. Seeing that Shadowless wasn't willing to settle this peacefully, Shui Lingzi could only look for another way. If Kikyaromen's people took the initiative to go back with the Changgongmen, then no one else could do anything about it. Seeing Shui Lingzi trying to flatter Sun Qiao, Shadowless naturally wouldn't agree. His goal this time was the same as everyone else's. Kikyaromen's secret. If he could get his hands on Kikyaromen's secret, then it would bring endless benefits. Shadowless came with this goal in mind. He also wanted to take away Kikyaromen's people. He also wanted to get his hands on Kikyaromen's secret. Shadowless looked at Shui Lingzi and suddenly shouted, Shui Lingzi, do you really think you can beat me with just the 2 of you? Shui Lingzi was already pissed off by Sun Qiao. After hearing Shadowless' provocation, her face turned green. Shui Lingzi fiercely glared at Sun Qiao before abruptly turning to look at Shadowless in the distance and sternly shouting, Shadowless, I'll ask you one more time, do you agree to my conditions or not? Shadowless sneered and shook his head, impossible, as long as you bully Kikyaromen, I will never agree. Shui Lingzi heard this and sneered, Shadowless, you asked for it, don't blame me for being cruel. After saying this, Water Spirit turned to Fire Spirit and gave him a meaningful look. Fire Spirit immediately nodded in understanding. Shui Lingzi and Fire Spirit slowly walked towards Shadowless. When he saw the 2 walk over, Shadowless started to get nervous. Although the Water Spirit and Fire Spirit were not walking fast, they were walking steadily. Almost every step was on solid ground. After making sure that there was no danger, they would take the second step. Not only that, with every step they took, their aura kept rising and their qi kept flowing through their body. The 2 of them had only taken 3 or 4 steps when Wen Yi's surging Jin qi swelled up. Through the gaps in their clothes, the scattered Jin qi continued to shoot out. Feeling the 2's aura getting stronger and stronger, sweat started to appear on Shadowless' forehead. Even his palms started to get wet. Shadowless wiped his hand that was holding the dagger on his body, wiping away the sweat on his palm. Then, he held the dagger tightly and stared at Water Spirit and Fire Spirit. Seeing that there were only 4 or 5 steps between them, Shui Lingzi suddenly stopped, looked up at Shadowless, and asked in a deep voice. Brother Shadowless, I already said that I will bring back Kikyaromen's people. I hope you won't stop us. Shadowless forced a smile and shook his head. Shui Lingzi, that's impossible. You Changgongmen are bullying the weak. I can't just ignore it. Hearing Shadowless' answer, Water Spirit nodded and said in a deep voice. If that's the case, then don't blame us for being impolite. Seeing that Shui Lingzi was about to attack, Shadowless suddenly shouted. Shui Lingzi, you think you can bully me just because you have more people? Hearing this, Shui Lingzi was stunned for a moment as a bad feeling rose in her heart. Shadowless saw this and suddenly laughed. After laughing, he took out a whistling arrow and sneered. Shui Lingzi, you really think I'm the only one here? Hearing this, Shui Lingzi looked around suspiciously before asking in a deep voice. Shadowless, what do you want? Shadowless sneered and raised the whistling arrow in his hand and said loudly, Shui Lingzi, as long as I throw this arrow into the sky, our people will immediately appear. Shadowless paused and stared at Shui Lingzi and said coldly, Shui Lingzi, do you want me to throw this arrow into the sky? Chapter 465. Seeing the whistling arrow in Shadowless' hand, Shui Lingzi couldn't help but stop. Shadowless, what do you want? Shadowless smiled, I don't want to do anything. Shadowless paused for a moment before continuing, Shui Lingzi, I want to ask you, what do you two want by coming here in such an imposing manner? Looking at the whistling arrow in Shadowless' hand, Shui Lingzi sighed, Brother Shadowless, you know what I mean. As long as you promise to stay out of this, we can still be good friends. Shadowless shook his head, impossible. This time, before Shui Lingzi could speak, Fire Spirit suddenly shouted, Shadowless brat, don't use a whistling arrow to scare us, throw it if you dare. Hearing Fire Spirit's shout, Shadowless turned to Shui Lingzi and sneered, Shui Lingzi, you really want me to throw it? Shui Lingzi gritted her teeth, Brother Shadowless, this time, whether you throw it or not, we will definitely take away Kikyaromen's people. After hearing Shui Lingzi's words, Shadowless sneered a few times and suddenly flicked his wrist, sending the whistling arrow flying towards the sky. Not long after the whistling arrow left his hand, a flame ignited on the whistling arrow. Under the flame's push, the whistling arrow made a sharp sound as it flew into the sky. After flying to a certain height, the whistling arrow suddenly exploded, creating a red halo in the sky that didn't dissipate for a long time. Shui Lingzi's face couldn't help but change when she saw the red halo. This whistling arrow flew so high that even people who were far away could see the red circle of light created by the whistling arrow. Thinking of this, Shui Lingzi couldn't help but look into the distance, wanting to see who was coming. As for attacking Shadowless right now, Shui Lingzi really didn't think about it. If she hurt Shadowless and the person who came was too strong, wouldn't that be terrible? Shui Lingzi didn't have to wait for long before a figure shot over from the distance. Although the two didn't get close, Shui Lingzi's face already changed. The person's speed was extremely fast, in just a few leaps, a beggar-like person already arrived in front of everyone. The old beggar came to the front of the crowd and stretched. Then he turned to look at Shadowless and said lazily, Shadowless, what happened? You disturbed this old beggar's sleep. Shadowless cupped his fists and said, Master, these two are Tiangongmen's Shui Lingzi and Fire Spirit, they have something to ask Master. The old beggar turned his head to look at Shui Ling, first picking his ear, then lightly asking, Shui Ling, what business do you have with the old beggar? Shui Ling's eyes narrowed and asked in shock, Senior, could it be Du Wu Bag? The old beggar smiled, I didn't think there would be someone who knows me. Hearing Du Wu Bao's confirmation, Water Spirit cupped her fists and said, so it was Senior Du, I've been disrespectful. Du Wu Bao ignored Shui Lingzi and turned to look at Shadowless, so why are you looking for me? Hearing this, Shadowless looked at Shui Lingzi and sneered, Shui Lingzi, by the way, why are you looking for my master? Hearing Shadowless' question, Shui Lingzi's expression changed. After a while, she forced a smile and said, nothing, Junior was just discussing something with Brother Shadowless. Du Wu Bag shook his head and looked around. His eyes suddenly lit up and he waved his hand at Shadowless, take your time, I'll go talk to an old friend. In the time it took for him to speak, Du Wu Dai did not seem to exert much strength in his feet, but he suddenly rushed in front of Wu Lai. Wu Lai, I didn't think you'd come today. Du Wu Bag suddenly laughed and pointed at Wu Lai, you old man, didn't you say you were going into seclusion to cultivate? Why did you suddenly come out? After hearing Du Wuho's words, Wu Lai suddenly sneered, Du Wuho, you old man, I thought you were long gone. I didn't expect you to still be alive. How strange. Du Wu Bag sat down next to Wu Lai and said loudly to Wu Kudi, this old beggar loves to drink. You, go get some wine. Seeing Du Wu Bag daring to order him, Wu Kudi was furious and was about to retort when Wu Lai said, go, what are you standing there for? Hearing this, Wu Kedi was stunned for a moment before he hurriedly left. Looking at Wu Kedi's back, Du Wubao smiled and said, "Your nephew doesn't seem to be very obedient." Wu Lai sneered and pointed at Shadowless. "Your disciple doesn't seem to be very obedient either." Shui Lingzi looked at Shadowless. Her aura had already disappeared without a trace. She naturally knew what kind of person Du Wu Bag was. If she dared to use that aura in front of Du Wu Bag, she would definitely be beaten up. After a while, Shui Lingzi sighed, "Shadowless, since you've already asked your master to come out, then I don't think you have a choice. What do you want?" Shadowless shook his head. "Shui Lingzi, don't ask me what I want. You should ask yourself what you want." Hearing this, Shui Lingzi was stunned and asked in confusion, "Brother Shadowless, could it be that you don't know what I want to do?" Shadowless sneered, "Shui Lingzi, I understand. You want to take away Kikyaromen's people today, but you're bullying the weak. I can't stand it. What do you think we should do?" Looking at the sneering Shadowless, Shui Lingzi sighed, "Brother Shadowless, are you satisfied with a level 20 equipment?" Hearing Water Spirit's words, Shadowless shook his head, not satisfied, very dissatisfied. Fire Spirit said angrily, "Shadowless brat, do you think level 20 equipment is cabbage? Those are top-tier equipment. Giving you one today is already a great deal for you. What's there to be dissatisfied about?" Hearing Fire Spirit's words, Shadowless shook his head and turned to look at Du Wudai and Wu Lai. Then, he sneered. "Shui Lingzi, do you think my master's martial arts are lower than Wu Lai's?" After hearing Shadowless' words, Shui Lingzi silently shook her head. Du Wubao and Wu Lai were of the same generation. In terms of martial arts, although the two of them had never officially competed, but based on their reputations, there should be not much difference between them. Seeing Shui Lingzi nod, Shadowless sneered, "Since my master's martial arts aren't lower than Wu Lai's, then why did we get less equipment than the Wu clan?" Hearing Shadowless' words, Shui Lingzi could only sigh in her heart. If she knew this would happen, she definitely wouldn't have agreed to give the Wu clan 2 level 20 equipment. At that time, it was only a temporary measure, so he reluctantly agreed. Chapter 466. In order to get rid of the Wu family, Water Spirit offered those conditions. Water Spirit thought that this matter was over, but she never thought that this was just the beginning. Water Spirit gave the Wu family 2 pieces of level 20 equipment. It was because of the Wu family's strength that Water Spirit gave such high conditions. However, Shadowless was also strong now, so he was asking for 2 level 20 equipment. Water Spirit thought for a moment before letting out a sigh. She cupped her fist towards Shadowless and said, "Brother Shadowless, isn't 2 pieces of level 20 equipment a bit too much? Can we discuss and give you 1 piece of level 20 equipment and 2 pieces of level 15 equipment?" Shadowless shook his head. "Our strength is about the same as the Wu family, so why are we getting so much less?" Shadowless paused for a bit before continuing with a cold smile. "If others find out that you gave the Wu clan 2 pieces of level 20 equipment and only gave us 1 piece of level 20 equipment, wouldn't we lose a lot of face?" Shui Lingzi sighed. She knew that Shadowless was right. Face was very important in the Jianghu. Even if you had to starve for 3 days, you wouldn't want to lose face. "Brother Shadowless, I'm sure you know that crafting level 20 equipment isn't an easy task. How about this? I'll give you a level 20 equipment first, and then I'll give you a level 20 equipment with both hands in the future." Hearing Water Spirit's suggestion, Shadowless nodded and slowly said, "Sure, but those 2 level 15 equipment will have to be our interests." Fire Spirit couldn't take it anymore and roared, "Shadowless brat, what do you think level 15 equipment is? Do you think it fell from the sky?" Shadowless shook his head. "I don't care where it came from. I just want to know. Since I promised you guys to delay the delivery of another level 20 equipment for a year, you guys have to promise me that you'll pay me the interest within that year." Nonsense. Hearing this, the Fire Spirit could no longer hold it in. He stomped on the ground and shot towards Shadowless like a cannonball. At this time, a black light flashed in the distance and an object shot towards Fire Spirit like lightning. Water Spirit saw that the situation was bad and quickly yelled, "Watch out, hidden weapons." When Water Spirit shouted, Fire Spirit also felt that something was wrong. He forcefully stopped himself from charging forward and dodged, but it was already too late. The item brushed past his left arm. Seeing this, Water Spirit quickly went up to support Fire Spirit and asked with concern, "How are you?" Fire Spirit Z frowned as his right hand tightly held his left arm. After a while, he slowly let go. Water Spirit Z saw that his left arm had been injured by that object. Shui Lingzi was about to ask again when Du Wubao, who was talking to Wu Lai by the bonfire, suddenly said in a cold voice, "This old beggar hates sneak attacks the most. This time I'm teaching you a lesson, but if there's a next time, meet." After hearing Du Wudai's words, Fire Spirit Z was about to angrily rebuke him, but he was quickly stopped by Water Spirit Z. "Senior, this junior's brother has a bad temper, please don't blame him." Du Wudai didn't answer Water Spirit Z's words and only coldly snorted as a reply. Seeing Du Wudai's arrogant appearance, even though Water Spirit was angry, she knew that if they dared to attack again, it wouldn't just be her shoulder that was injured. Thinking about this, Water Spirit Z suddenly turned to Shadowless and bitterly smiled. "Brother Shadowless, you win. I promise to give you 2 level 20 equipment, is that okay?" Hearing Water Spirit Z's words, Shadowless nodded with satisfaction and coldly smiled. "Water Spirit, I know that even for the Heaven's Craftsman Gate, it's not easy to forge a piece of level 20 equipment, so," hearing this, Water Spirit Z was ecstatic and quickly asked, "Brother Shadowless, are you willing to give me 1 less level 20 equipment?" Shadowless shook his head, "No, it's not easy for Tiangongmen to forge a level 20 equipment. I'm afraid that you guys will go back on your words, so we should make a contract to prevent you Tiangongmen from playing us." After hearing Shadowless' words, Water Spirit Z's body trembled. He had thought that Shadowless would take the initiative to reduce a piece of level 20 equipment for the sake of the Heaven's Craftsman faction. Little did he expect that Shadowless would be such a nice person. Not only did he not reduce the equipment by level 20, he even wanted to add insult to injury and prevent any changes in the Heaven's Craftsman faction. Water Spirit Z was angry, but there was nothing she could do. She could only bitterly smile and say, "Brother Shadowless, I think we should forget about the contract. We Tiangongmen have some reputation in the South County, how could we go back on our words? Don't worry, as long as this matter is resolved, I will definitely send someone to deliver the equipment." Shadowless shook his head, "You just said that even for Tiangongmen, it's not easy to forge so many level 20 equipment. I'm worried that if you Tiangongmen really can't forge so many level 20 equipment, then you'll go back on your word." To be honest, Water Spirit Z really did have this plan. Everyone had made a verbal agreement, and there was no real evidence. If the Tiangongmen really couldn't forge so many level 20 equipment, then even if they went back on their words, no one would be able to prove it. The Tiangongmen would go back on their words. Water Spirit Z sighed, "Brother Shadowless, don't you even trust me?" Shadowless sighed. "I used to believe you, a Heaven's Craftsman Gates consecrator would keep his word. However, what you did just now really disappointed me." Shadowless suddenly took a step forward and sneered at Water Spirit Z. "Water Spirit, let me ask you, if my master didn't appear, would you still agree to give me the equipment?" Hearing Shadowless' question, Water Spirit Z's face turned red. Before Shadowless' master appeared, he didn't want to give Shadowless a single piece of equipment. Otherwise, he wouldn't have attacked Shadowless. Du Wudai's martial arts were just too high. Even if he and Fire Spirit Z worked together, it would still be hard to stop him. The difference in strength between the two sides was too great. In order to achieve her goal of bringing Kikyaromen back, Water Spirit Z agreed to give Shadowless 2 pieces of level 20 equipment. If Du Wudai didn't come, then Water Spirit Z wouldn't have given Shadowless a single piece of equipment. Seeing that Water Spirit Z didn't speak, Shadowless sneered again, "Water Spirit, I didn't misjudge you, right? If my master didn't come, I'm afraid I wouldn't even be able to get a single piece of equipment." Shadowless paused for a bit before continuing, "Water Spirit, you say it yourself. After so many things, do you still think you're worthy of my trust?" Chapter 467. After hearing Shadowless' words, Water Spirit shook her head with a bitter smile. "The reason why I didn't agree to Brother Shadowless' conditions was because it's really hard for Tiangongmen to make so many level 20 equipment. I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to fulfill Brother Shadowless' conditions, that's why I didn't agree to your conditions." Shadowless sighed, Water Spirit, you said it yourself. Even for Changongmen, it's not easy to make so many level 20 equipment. For my equipment, why wouldn't I be more careful? I think it's better to sign a contract first. That way, you Changongmen won't go back on your word. Water Spirit heard this and lowered her head to think. Fire Spirit suddenly said angrily, Shadowless brat, when have we Changongmen ever gone back on our word? Shadowless shook his head, I don't know, but I'm a very careful person. Only by signing a contract can I be completely at ease. Fire Spirit yelled, Shadowless brat, what if we don't sign a contract? Hearing Fire Spirit's words, Shadowless' face suddenly turned cold. He turned to look in the direction of the 7 Possibilities sect and said indifferently, then don't even think about taking the people of the 7 Possibilities sect away. You dare. Fire Spirit stepped forward and said angrily, Shadowless brat, you really think that you can do whatever you want just because your master is here? Let me tell you, you're dreaming. We Changongmen aren't pushovers. If you really want to become enemies with us Changongmen, then we Changongmen will accompany you to the end. Shadowless shook his head. You can't blame us for this. It's your Heaven's Craftsman faction that went too far. I merely helped out when I saw injustice. Even if outsiders know about this, they'll praise me for being loyal. Shadowless paused and then continued, on the other hand, once the people in Jianghu know that the dignified Heaven's Craftsman sect has done such a shameless thing, I'm afraid your Heaven's Craftsman sect won't have a good ending. Water Spirit suddenly raised her head and pushed Fire Spirit aside. She looked at Shadowless and sighed. Brother Shadowless, I can promise to give you the equipment. I think we should forget about the contract. Shadowless shook his head and refused. No, if there's no contract, then we'll be wasting our time. Water Spirit nodded and walked up to Shadowless' side. She lowered her voice and whispered to Shadowless. Brother Shadowless, can we talk a bit further? Shadowless looked at Water Spirit and asked coldly, Water Spirit, what do you want to do? Water Spirit shook her head, Shadowless brother Shadowless. I just want to talk to you for a bit. Shadowless looked at Shui Lingzi and frowned for a moment before nodding. Shadowless masters is Shadowless, his master's masters. Water Spirit nodded, of course I know. Don't worry, I really just want to talk to you for a bit. Shadowless saw that Shui Lingzi didn't seem to be lying, so he nodded and let the others lean together. Water Spirit said in a low voice, Brother Shadowless, I can promise you the equipment, and I can also promise you the contract, but you must promise me one thing before I can promise you the contract. Shadowless nodded, okay. Tell me your condition. Seeing Shadowless agree, Shui Lingzi said in a low voice. Brother Shadowless, you also know that even though the Heaven's Craftsman faction is wealthy, it's not easy to forge so many pieces of level 20 equipment at once. So I want to write a contract with Brother Shadowless and not let the Wu family know. Can you agree to this condition? Hearing Shui Lingzi's words, Shadowless was stunned for a moment before laughing in his heart, feeling that he had made the right choice. If he guessed correctly, when Water Spirit said this, she didn't want to give the Wu family any more equipment. Thinking of this, Shadowless rejoiced in his heart. Luckily, he was careful. Otherwise, today's effort would have been in vain. However, whether or not the Changongmen gave the Wu family equipment didn't matter to Shadowless. As long as he got his own equipment, that was more important than anything else. Shadowless nodded, okay, I promise you. Shadowless paused for a moment, then looked around and asked in confusion, what's the matter? There are so many people here, how can we write a contract? Water Spirit smiled and whispered, Brother Shadowless, once this matter is over and the Wu family leaves, I'll write a contract for Brother Shadowless. What do you think? Shadowless couldn't help but frown. He carefully thought about Water Spirit's words to prevent himself from being tricked. After a while, Shadowless sneered, good, Water Spirit, you dare to trick me. Seeing that her plan had been seen through by Shadowless, Shui Lingzi was startled. She forced a smile and said, Brother Shadowless, where did this come from? You also know that it's very difficult for the Heaven's Craftsman Gate to take out so many pieces of equipment at once. However, I'm very sincere to Brother Shadowless, so I agreed to sign a contract with you. Shadowless sneered, Shui Lingzi, do you think I'm a 3-year-old child that you can deceive? Water Spirit quickly said, Brother Shadowless, that's not right. Why would I trick Brother Shadowless? As long as this matter is over, I'll definitely write a contract for the 2 equipment. Is there something wrong with that? Shadowless suddenly patted Water Spirit's shoulder. Water Spirit, I trusted you so much, but even now, you still want to trick me. This really disappoints me. Water Spirit shook her head. Brother Shadowless, I'm definitely not lying to you. Shadowless sneered. According to what you said, after this matter is over, you'll write a contract with me. But what if after this matter is over and you don't write one? What should I do? Shadowless paused here. He didn't wait for Water Spirit to speak and continued. Water Spirit, when this matter is over, even if I want to stop you, I'm afraid it's impossible. Even if you don't write a contract, what can I do to you? Water Spirit quickly waved her hand. Impossible, I definitely won't do such a thing. Brother Shadowless, as soon as this matter is over, I'll write a contract for Brother Shadowless. Shadowless looked at Water Spirit and after a while, he suddenly said, Water Spirit, I suddenly find that my trust in you is getting lower and lower. Hearing this, Water Spirit sighed. Brother Shadowless, what should I do to make you believe my sincerity? Shadowless heard this and shook his head. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.